Welcome, ladies and gents, one and all. I know I'm so sorry I've kept you all waiting. We were just discussing some logistics about bits and pieces, which I'll get to in a minute. But you are joining us here today, of course, on your favorite podcast, the Hcast episode number 55. So we are 55 deep into this, and we're going to keep going strong for another 45 and get to 100, where we'll do a massive celebration. I'll probably get massively drunk. But on episode number 55, we've got a doozy for you all, of course, on your favorite podcast. We're going to be looking at Hollywood's most insufferable individual and taking a good laugh at that. And just generally, realistically, is it hate bait? Is it not? I am, of course, talking about Rachel Zegler. Oof, goodness me. We'll be looking at The Witcher because the executive producer believes it's on the scale of James Bond now. Delusion. Essentially, a whole host of insufferable comments. It's funny. Basically, we've got a very funny and interesting stream for you all today. Nice podcast topic. So, or Tron Ares as well as a bit of an update on that. A bit of an update on the strike. I'll bring you all the news, ladies and gents, in this epically fun format. I am, of course, joined by Coach Casino and Tom Connors, and we will be joined by Nick because it is, of course, Tardy Tuesdays, and Nick is tardy on Tuesdays. But everyone's channel links are down below in the description box. So please do, if you like any of their input today, please do hit subscribe on their channels. Because, of course, this is just a snapshot of what you'll be getting on their respective channels. And, spread the love, spread it around. So real quick, bit of house rules, as I always do. This is funded by you guys, for you guys. We always get demonetized here. So, ladies and gents, throw in a buck, use the super chat function, use the super sticker function. It really does help out. It's one of those things, YouTube, for whatever reason, we get like 10 minutes into the stream. There's no curse words. There's nothing. It's well past it's like, 30 seconds that they normally give for the limit of cursing and all that nonsense. And yeah, we get demonetized. So chuck in a buck, ask your question. We will get to the super chats periodically. And some of those questions are so bloody good, they get turned into their own video on the second channel. What am I talking about with respect to the second channel? Well, the second channel is linked down below. It's Mistakes Reviews Live Archives. And that is where these go because they don't stay on the main channel anymore. Because reasons, they get turned into their own videos as well as the full streams. I know I'm missing a few of them. They are actually ready to go, and they are going to be up there. So just wait. We will get there. We'll get it all uploaded. Preamble out the way. Culture, how you doing, good sir? You all right?
I'm fantastic. Yeah, I am. I'm stoked to be here as always. I'm stoked we have such a great group of humans out there waiting for us and other critters as well. Apparently 265 of you right now viewing us, and the number keeps growing. Your favorite podcast is on the air, and we've got lots to talk about. I'm very excited. So,
boy, howdy do we ever. Bringing the energy as well. Another person bringing the energy is Tom Connors.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Yeah,
hopefully
good.
you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Trying to bring up loads of energy for this. Someone said my audio is a bit low. Is that right? Does it sound a bit
Sounds
low
okay to me, but
you might be you might be a bit low. I might be a bit low. I pushed the microphone low off camera. So
yeah, I don't know. Oh no, that's very loud now. I can see it. Okay, well, let me know, guys, if this is a bit too low or not. We'll try to keep this going. And it's all nice and stuff.
Looks good.
Or just as an FYI, ladies and gents in the chat. So we were a bit late today, and I just want to kind of discuss this a little bit real quickly. So I was actually invited to go to a movie premiere today. So I wasn't going to be here. I was going to go watch Strays, basically, which they clearly must have seen. Clearly must have seen that I own a Border Terrier, and the Border Terrier is the lead of that film.
True.
That's probably not what happened. So I do get invites every now and then. I don't often take them up on it because London's like 2 hours drive from me. It's a ball ache to get there. But I was like, you know what? I'll make an exception for that. But unfortunately, we just couldn't really figure out the logistics of it to sort of get this going. But what I will say is, because this is, of course, your favorite podcast, the Hcast, sort of working out ways that this can still function when I'm actually not here. And so it's not a massive surprise to you all. And so it's, it will be when I'm randomly not here, but so it's not a surprise to you all in advance of that initial surprise. Culture Casino will probably take over my hosting duties when I am ready to go off and do some, premiere functions. So just as a quick one, that's why we're a bit late. I like to keep you in the loop. that was a lot of talking. I'm just gonna crash out now. So I've got no energy.
We have a whole show to do.
Just spend it all on that.
Yeah.
That's all the energy I'm done.
We have a whole show to do. Yeah.
Oh,
and there's already supers in the chat and such. So yeah.
There's supers in the chat. Super chats, you may.
That's what I
might
said.
Say.
Yeah. Well, you might.
Oh dear, oh dear. So yeah, we do actually have some super chats, ladies and gents. Let's get to them now. It's red hot it was so cold in the UK for ages, and that's bloody burning up. It's a pain in the ass. Anyway, so we do have some super chats here. We've got one from Schnip for $4.99. That is a very cute puppy dog.
Yeah.
It says Rachel Zegler makes my skin crawl with every word out of her mouth.
Ooh.
You know what? I did wonder. I was like, who's the most insufferable person in Hollywood? And I was thinking to myself, is it Amber Heard? Like, no, because you can laugh at her. So she's
Brie?
and then Brie is one of them.
I got a better one.
But who?
Meghan Markle.
No, Rachel Zegler takes the biscuit. I swear.
Really? All right.
I swear. I've got a doozy for you all today. I've got a doozy all for you today, honestly.
Sounds good.
Jacob Bowman for $19.99 sent in a super sticker. Thank you so much, my dude. I do appreciate it. One and all. And then we have also got dropping in confirming it is, in fact, his favorite podcast. Israel R for $2 says greetings to my favorite podcast. Well, thank you so much. And thank you all. We got 334 of you in the chat joining us for your favorite podcast. So thank you all so much. Hit that thumbs up button on your way in. So let's take a look at the most insufferable person in Hollywood right now. Well, a bit of a backstory, right? First topic, bit of a backstory.
Oh,
Snow White. Snow White's been popping up every now and then. It's a bit of a joke. It's a bit of a joke because initially it's just mired in controversy. The story goes, they announced it. They announced Rachel Zegler as Snow White. People were like, she doesn't look like she's got complexion as white as snow. That's a bit not factually correct, with the sort of literary backing. And then Peter Dinklage. What a dude. King of the Dwarfs, Peter Dinklage. Honestly, bow before him. Probably not, you'd hurt your back. But Peter Dinklage, King of the Dwarfs, kicked up a massive fuss and was like, you're going to hire dwarfs to play dwarfs? You scum. And so they didn't. So now you got one dwarf. But anyway, now Rachel Zegler, back to Rachel Zegler and the controversy surrounding her. It's just, there's loads of it, isn't there? Just keeps talking. There's loads of videos that surfacing about this individual. And none of them are particularly great. What do we think of Rachel Zegler?
I've seen her boobs.
A lot of people have. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, her cloud leaked.
Yeah, her iCloud leaked. Yeah.
I've seen her vagine too. Well,
why did you guys know this? And I mean, I'm not like, what? Is this common knowledge?
Like, I don't know if it's common knowledge, but it's carnal knowledge.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I did not know this.
Yeah,
let's just say that the outfits she wears are not very flattering to her breasts.
No. Well, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure those pictures were all that flattering either, Tom. But hey, that's just my opinion.
Not totally. I mean, she's not ugly by any means.
No. Oh, I wouldn't suggest that. And no. But yeah, it was very strange.
Well, you're gonna think she's ugly in these videos.
Yeah. Let me just put it this way: she made poor decisions uploading her images to her cloud storage. That's just
right. I'll just quickly delete all of mine. I don't care. I got nothing to hide. Oh, that fucking shit leaks. Couldn't give a toss. Anyway, right.
Wow.
Right. Anyway, ladies and gents, I've got a hilarious video that I compiled for you all. We're just going to take a look at it because this movie's got to be. Is it going to be cancelled? Is it going to be relegated to Disney Plus? Why did they release Peter Pan on Disney Plus and then this, arguably a worse looking movie? It literally looks like a high school pantomime. Is going to be released in theaters. Tell me that now. What's going on?
I have no explanation for you because this is equally shit compared to the Peter Pan thing.
I think
It
they
looks
almost have
worse.
to. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, like Peter Pan, you can get away with, but Snow White is like synonymous with Disney. I mean,
It is. I mean, it's foundational. What
Yeah.
here's an interesting thing, and this is just from a theme park guy. When you go to the Magic Kingdom or to Disneyland or any park in the world, there is always a fantasy land in their castle park. In their fantasy land, they have unique staples that are always a part of that area. Peter Pan, Snow White, and what's the other one? Dumbo. Those are the three that are always there.
Beauty and the Beast.
They're represented as attractions. And when you enter that world, those are the things you're expecting. Well, they've pooed on Pan, literally, and they've, I don't know, they've done something to the cottage for Snow White. I don't know, but I have to be very careful. We're only 12 minutes in.
It's 7 bandits. I mean, that says volumes anyway, did it? What kind of bandits, I hear you ask?
Yeah, I don't know, and. Yeah, and yes, I don't curse very often. Most of you know that, but when it comes to what Disney's producing right now, I often find it difficult to not say the occasional bad word. But seriously, I think you're right. I think your inclination is that, and she may end up relegated to streaming, especially after some of the commentary that she's made. But
I mean, I wonder, are they? Is Disney going to be happy to pump like $150 million into marketing for this when she's running her mouth online, which we will get to because it's funny.
Well, I mean, look, we knew that going in before they made frame 1 of Acolyte, they spent $50 million.
Oh God, I know, so funny.
So we're looking at a $250 million television program. I'm like, all right, well, you're not pulling in the numbers there, so they are perfectly content to waste money. I don't know if that's an issue. I don't know, Tom. What do you think? I mean, you haven't said word one about what do you think Snow White's doing or headed? Where do you think?
Look, I mean, we know why they keep doing these because Lion King and Aladdin and so on made
were
$1 billion.
massively successful. Yeah,
Little Mermaid was the first one that they kind of stumbled with. Obviously, the rest they have seemed to hide on Disney Plus because people don't even realize there was a Lady and the Tramp reboot. The Pinocchio
that was
reboot
the first one, wasn't it? That
was maligned. I believe so. Yeah, and then they also had
Mulan, and then
Mulan was supposed to be theatrical, but went day and date or whatever. And then Pinocchio and
that was weird.
Peter Pan most recently. Yeah, Pinocchio, I was surprised they sent to Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Although the way the movie
timing,
was,
though, do you think?
I don't know, but the way the movie was received, I can see why they dumped it on there.
True.
It's just getting to this point where even this one, at least, I can give them like I'm scratching my head with this one. The Lion King was almost a shot-for-shot remake.
Yes.
Aladdin and some of the other ones
CG.
were like fairly close,
Yeah.
to the original movies in a sense. They just added some crap to them. Like this one, I'm looking at it going, and we've been saying this for a while, so forgive me for repeating it, but I've said it before. I think they've accidentally cornered themselves into an original idea because it is so far from the mothership that it's like you might as well just call it The Princess and the Bandits at this point. It's not really Snow White. It kind of reminds me, or you can call it a Snow White story or something like that because it's has elements of, but it's not. So it reminds me of the Ever After Cinderella story that Drew Barrymore did, where she wasn't really Cinderella, but it had similar elements to it.
I mean, did they ever actually announce a clear-cut name for it or not?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. You're right. That's a good point because the movie is initially called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I don't know if they're just going to call it Snow White now or what. Probably.
Yeah. Well, we've got a very, very funny video to watch. And just before we get started, we've got Andre joining us to watch this video with us.
Greetings.
Hey, boss.
Unexpectedly joining us. How you doing, Andre? You all right?
Yeah, well, I like to show up fashionably late and unexpected.
I see. Always
Not necessarily on the same days.
Kind of like a drunk baby.
Kind of.
Wow.
You know,
We've
when
got
you
a
get drunk
very-
and you accidentally make a baby.
We've got a very funny compilation I put together of Rachel Zegler, the most insufferable woman in Hollywood right now, I personally believe. So we'll take a look at this, and then after you watch this, you tell me if Disney is going to be prepared to spend $100 to $150 million on marketing, or whether they'll just chuck Snow White on Disney Plus. I don't think they'll cancel it, but I reckon they might just chuck it on Disney Plus. So let's check this out.
Up for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and it is I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how long?
It's like I'm standing there waiting for the photo op, being like,
Well, you kind of are, you know?
No, I guess
like
so.
Like Harrison Ford.
I'm Snow White!
Jesus, you couldn't even make that up. That's like an SNL
Is that
skit.
your favorite ride? I mean, that's a weird thing that you are Snow White now.
I mean, it's one of the original. I'm a really big Disney fan. I grew up at the Disney parks. My parents took me every summer.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like, it is. It's a part of my
Privileged.
upbringing. It's my favorite thing. So it's just one of those things that
Yeah,
comes with
don't.
the
Well,
territory.
then, if you love it, don't let them scare you.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once and then I went on the ride in Disney World.
We need
which is
a
called
Mount
Snow White's
Rushmore with-
Scary Adventures. Doesn't sound like.
What
We need a Mount Rushmore with Kevin Smith, Seth Rogen, and now Rachel Ziegler. Like, that's what we need. The biggest liars ever. I'm a huge fucking fan. I've seen it once.
I guess what this is only a bit of it. I put more. This is the video which is floating on Twitter. I put more together. I made this video all together. There's more. Oh. See if it'll play.
Something a little kid would like.
Yeah.
Was terrified of it. Never revisited Snow White again. So I watched it for the first time in probably 16, 17 years when I was doing this film.
I'm a narcissist.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power and what a woman is fit for in the world. And so when we came to reimagining the actual role of Snow White, it became about the fairest of them all, meaning who is the most just.
She's
and
living
who
the zombie
can become
life.
a fantastic leader. And the reality is, you know, Snow White has to learn a lot of lessons
Who's
about
the
coming into
biggest
her own
girl
power
boss
before she
of them
can
all?
come into power over a kingdom.
Also, the fact that she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's
off,
the
Gal.
proactive
Fuck off.
one, and she's the one who set
You know what I
the
love
terms.
about all these interviews with Gal is we can
is what
finally
makes it
realize
so-
she's not a good actress. She is not. Everything she says sounds just like everything else. She sounds like she's being Wonder Woman right now.
That's true. That is true. It gets worse, ladies and gents. Oh boy, how did it get worse? This thing will play again.
Sorry, I'd make you stop it and then it fucks up. My bad.
so relevant to where we are today.
Crying on that stage.
When am I not crying in public? It's so upsetting.
Why were you crying? You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
She's not going to be
yeah.
saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so
I'm going to stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
I love how she's like, we wrote this thing. Like she was sitting in the writer's room writing with the writers.
I missed one bit. God damn it. I missed the bit where she calls the prince a literal stalker. I knew there was something I missed from my compilation. And joining us to talk about this is Jonas J. Campbell. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing fantastic.
Bringing
It
in some
sounds
big
like,
guns.
Sounds like it's going to be another dead father story. At least sounds like the dad will be a good guy. Maybe not any other men in the entire production.
Well, but yeah.
Are you sure about that? I mean, that sounds optimistic.
Yeah. They did that with Cinderella, which, you know, Cinderella was not bad. It wasn't amazing, but, you know, Kenneth Branagh always brings it with a production design. So.
Dear, oh dear. What do we think about all of that then? I missed one video clip where she said that the prince was a literal stalker. A literal stalker, apparently, the prince was. Are they going to release this or not? What do you think?
I'm flabbergasted by her inconsistency. But at the same time, there is no way Disney's going to throw more money at this. They have to release this on Disney Plus. Why would you spend $150 million to promote this dumpster fire, knowing full well that now that she's defecated all over the original in 100 different ways?
You mean she pulled an Amber Heard on it?
Yeah, man. Exactly. Yeah, she went and found Walt Disney's bed and squatted out a Grumpy. I'm saying this is going to be very bad. And
I'll go one farther and say that Amber actually wouldn't have handled it this way. I think Amber would have handled it with a lot more style. I don't think she'd have been ripping on the old original. I think she would have been talking about being a little girl growing up with the original and all this other stuff. Like, you guys are 100% right. Her shitting on the original is the last thing I think Disney wants right now. Andre, you're about to say
I disagree. I think that
maybe
is said not just with Disney's permission, but she's reading the script. Remember, the people working for Disney today, the activists, they are not proud of the Disney legacy. They are ashamed of it. They are ashamed of working for, and Jonas, I'm sure you're aware of this. The activists working in the company are ashamed of the Walt Disney legacy. All of those classics that we think are an important part of Western cultural heritage, the activists working in the company think is problematic. And they are true believers, and they are ecstatic of finally fixing and repairing Disney, bringing it into the modern age. That is what they take pride in. So when she says all that shit about the original, this is not something that she made up. She didn't pull that out of her ass, even though it sounds like it came out of it. This is all with the express, not just permission, but instruction from her Disney handlers that she said this.
You're probably right, actually, because now that's the same excuse I said as to why they probably didn't bother even trying to save Mickey.
Yeah, exactly. Jonas, you think I'm right about this?
Absolutely. At least two of those sets of clips, the one where they're in the chairs with the pink background, and the one where it obviously is D23 written all over the wall there. Those are the same event in both Gal Gadot or Gadot. I don't know which pronunciation we're going with.
I don't know, but she's got a Gadot.
Both of them say it's not 1937 anymore in some form.
That's a talking point. Talking point right there.
Exactly. They're being prepped. Now, why they would be prepped at a D23 Expo, a collection of the most avid Disney fans in the world, the people who would be most aware or probably even watch Sleeping Beauty sometime that week and say to them, well, we're going to be better than that old piece of garbage. It is part of their foundational story. And if they don't have anyone there in the marketing department that doesn't understand the foundational aspect of the story of the Walt Disney Company and Snow White, they've got a big problem of it on their hands, because they, one, don't understand its value to the company, and two, don't understand marketing in any way that they should have a job in the field.
You nailed it right there.
That's interesting though, isn't it? Because you say that if they don't have anyone there, that they don't understand the value. And it's like, okay, but what intrinsic value do you think that they're now putting on this new Snow White? Bearing in mind that you've just had The Little Mermaid be, an undeniable flop at this stage. Yeah. Do you think that they're putting quite a high dollar value now on The Little Mermaid? Because we've on Snow White, because we've seen them Peter Pan. Straight to streaming. So I do wonder if they're picking up on this now. Obviously that was at D23 and things like this. So do you think that they're picking up on it now with that sort of dollar value and realizing it? Because they have with some of their projects. And it's ones that you would like Peter Pan and Wendy. You'd think, yeah, that would definitely go to theaters.
Well, see, I don't think that was ever.
It's got all the markers of a theatrical movie under their terms.
Yes.
Right.
I'm not so sure it was ever meant to, and that's the thing I'm trying to say here is like that is part of why you have this whirlwind of problems right now with the streaming war and the strike, because you have all these actors who are seeing, well, Disney and all these companies are spending 150, $200 million on these streaming movies, which is the same exact amount they would spend on a theatrical film. So to them, they're like, well, where's my movie money? They're not realizing that these are nothing but huge loss leaders for these companies. And we've seen it today where there was a report that come out that they're claiming Willow cost them over $100 million.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, like, that's what I'm saying here is like, so you have that side of it where these actors are going, well, where's my money? It's like, well, there is no money, you dumbasses. That's what the problem is. And then the other side of it is that too, is that instead of making movies that, and this is what I said is the biggest problem of all, you should not, and I've said it right here on this channel too, you should not be spending 150, 200 to $250 million on a freaking TV show. You should be able to do 10 TV shows for that.
Yep.
10.
More specifically, a streaming TV show where your income is capped.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
there's people that asked them that shit too. Like, what do you do? Because you're not going to get any more subscribers than you kind of have,
unless you go to an ad-based model.
Yeah.
Well, but even then, like, it's still going to be capped at a certain percentage. Like, you still shouldn't be spending $200 million on a bloody streaming movie. Like, no way in hell. Not if it's going to be exclusive to your own streaming service. Put it that way.
Yep.
You're going to license it out. Big difference, but they don't.
Agreed. I forget who it was. It was something really big that ended up on the Roku channel recently. I'm just going to go look and see what it was. Of course, The Critic is on Tubi now. Babylon 5. That's not it. Even though I do like Babylon 5.
Tubi. It stinks.
I'll see all this prestige content that should be like HBO appearing in other places, or like Ballers from HBO is on Netflix now. And it's going to have a lot more success on Netflix than it ever had on HBO, because that is the primary platform when people think of streaming.
And we had predicted that was going to happen anyways, that all these exclusive things were never going to be able to be sustainable on one platform ever.
Well, or look at Suits now. Suits was on Prime for years, and I watched it. I'll admit I went through the whole thing. It's a great semi-procedural, character-driven drama, and you got this great character, Gabriel Macht, who plays Harvey Specter. Sometimes I get that reversed, but it's like Mad Men in the modern era, except it's lawyers, and it's good bingeable TV. And if they could put ads on it, they're gold. That is a show that languished, well, not languished, but it was okay on Prime, and now it is the biggest show in streaming. And Bluey is the second biggest show in streaming.
Which is amazing.
Goodness sake. So getting off topic ever so slightly, let's bring it back to Snow White so we can sort of round this out. What do we think the chances are, above or below, or for or against, how this movie is going to do success-wise? Is it going to get canned? Which I disagree, it'll get canned, but do you think it will go to streaming? Because, I mean, people saying that, she's right on script. I agree, she probably is on script. But do you reckon they're going to learn from it? What do we think? Could it be successful or not? I'll tell you what. Here you go. Over or under 500 million worldwide. There you go.
I think it's going to do half as good as Little Mermaid.
What? That really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That means he's going to do a little bit more than 250,000, not 250 million.
It's going to be closer to like indie numbers, exactly.
Thomas is saying it's going to do less than 300 million worldwide, and I agree with that.
All right, so we've got two predictions. Jonas,
I think I'm going to guess 400 million because outside of the United States, if you have a reasonably pretty girl and in a pretty woman in Gal Gadot, you probably have some kind of audience there, especially because they'll be unaware of a lot. The non-English speaking world might look more favorably on this film.
You mean like they did with The Little Mermaid?
No, I think that audience was less interested in Halle Bailey for reasons that I find a little bit despicable, I'm going to say.
You may not be wrong.
That's odd because, I mean, the diversity across the planet has exploded.
Yes.
But
I'll also add to that. I'm not kind of trying to rag on any specific markets because I don't think XYZ country is racist, but a woman of a race that they have problems with is different than a man of a race they have problems with.
True.
So Black Panther did have success in the market that I'm implying here.
Right.
Did not have success for Little Mermaid.
So culture over under 500 million.
If it makes it to theaters, because I'm still on the fence about that. Well under 500 million, I would say.
Well
I'm in the same ballpark as Tom on Andre. I'm a little less optimistic than Jonas, but I would put it like somewhere between. I still think this thing could go sub Indiana Jones. Again, if it actually makes it to theaters.
Jesus.
Well, look, the appeal of Disney is shattered globally. There's no trust there anymore.
You
know,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
There's one thing I'll add to this. You know, there's a market. The Chinese market really likes Snow White, but that being said, yes, they apparently the 1937 version, when you're reading it as an Asian person not caring about race, she reads as Asian to an Asian culture. Because she's fair skin and black hair.
Yeah.
So that was one of the reasons. And back when I was snorting the pixie dust, I was following all of the updates with Shanghai, and why they wanted Snow White heavily represented in those parks was because Snow White was a surprising hit with the Chinese audience. So I don't know how they will react to a Latino Snow White, because they don't care about American wokeness whatsoever.
No, they don't like it.
So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So culture, you reckon under? Well, you all reckon under, basically, don't you? All reckon under $500 million. Yeah, I don't know, because I'm going to go off the interest in the videos that I've put out. The interest in the videos is quite high. So that tells me that SEO is quite high. And when SEO is quite high, it shows that there's a general interest in that as a topic. But is it for or against it? Is it negative? Is it positive? That's the thing.
Yeah,
so
I think it's more the controversy that Ziegler's stirring up more than anything.
I think it's more like Ghostbusters. I mean, for instance, Ghostbusters 2016, those videos, they did great for us. That movie did not do great at the box office.
Well,
that's a good comparison. Well, so I will probably say $350 million it'll take. There's my hot prediction.
I think you're right, and I agree with you. And I agree with you. And you said something I think is rather astute. The attention economy isn't exactly what everybody thought it was in the marketing and entertainment business. They conflate these ideas that if people are speaking positively or negatively, it's still good. And that's not true. In fact, now negative attention actually, is really hampering a lot of these things. So, and yet they continue to lean into these ideas. So anyway, it's just an interesting observation on your part.
Well, let's shuffle on. We've got some super chats coming in now, and some memberships as well. So let's get to these before we shuffle on to our next topic. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. We've got 755 viewers here joining us for your favorite podcast. So thank you so much. Do appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up button. Not for me. This stream gets unlisted, so it's not for the stream. It's to hopefully tell YouTube to notify you guys. So that would be really, really good. And of course, sort of dropping in as we were getting into that topic is Andre from Midnight's Edge, and we've got Jonas J. Campbell. Did you change the name of your channel in the end or not?
No, I will. I haven't gotten around to it. I've been too busy. All the pro stuff and VR stuff is going nuts.
All right. So
I'm trying to keep up with him over here. I think he's going to have like 7 videos on his second channel this week.
Jesus.
Or I'm going to be out of a job.
busy.
Yeah,
Let's get to some of these super chats real quick. So Donovan Bradford has been a member for 27 months. And as a member of the channel, you do get a free super chat. So this is his super chat. It says, if Snow White is cancelled or moved to Disney Plus, what does that do to Rachel's career with Batgirl being cancelled? So she wasn't Batgirl, was she?
No, she wasn't. She was in the movie, but she wasn't Batgirl.
Was she in the movie?
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't think she's in there. So I think Donovan Bradford was so Rachel Zegler wasn't Batgirl, but Rachel Zegler has had 2 major flops. In Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods.
Yep.
She was in that. She essentially played a pedophile god. I said it.
She did.
It's true, literally. And yeah, she molests a child.
I didn't know that
that
Disney
does happen.
made Shazam: Fury of the Gods. Anyways, right up their street, innit? But then she was also in West Side Story, and West Side Story was a financial failure.
Huge flop,
Yep.
Yeah, well,
So,
I mean, yeah, you break not having subtitles in the Spanish language portion wasn't exactly genius maneuver, but hey.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, what does this do to her career? Nothing. She'll be fine.
Not to mention that.
Well, isn't she in the weird remake or prequel of the Hunger Games?
Yeah, the Hunter Schafer Hunger Games.
She's been painted as the next big thing. She'll be fine.
I was gonna say she's like the female Jai Courtney.
Yeah, she'll be fine for a little while.
It's not a good thing.
And then she'll probably have bit parts because she's had a few. She's moving up to lead parts, but if they flop, then she'll move back down to bit parts. But she'll be fine, sadly. And I do say sadly because she's not owed a career by any stretch of the imagination, especially if she's in garbage products. Pilgrim Media for $2 says, I'm gobsmacked at Zegler's Tartars and Vijay. Yeah, Olaf, the moderator on the channel, sent me a link to all of that. And yeah, quite shocking.
What was this?
Her cloud leaked, yeah.
I didn't know this, but apparently it's
she was part of the happening from like ages ago, or something more recent.
This is
not
recent.
The underage
child. So,
okay.
Recent.
Yeah.
Right,
Nah, she's in her 20s.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. Because
Sean
usually
Price-
I have someone that likes to like send me like all of the, like for instance when you had like Leslie Jones and her sex tape and stuff like that leaked, like this dude sent me all of that with no warning of what I was about to see. So yeah, but I haven't done that.
thanks.
Maybe because it's underage. So, yeah. By the way, I just warn everyone to not just opening your messenger and seeing those pictures from the Leslie Jones thing without being warned.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
It's not something that I recommend.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare fuel, dude. Thanks. Wow.
No, and the first one that
You can't unsee that shit. Trust me.
Oh, I bet.
No, exactly. Like for instance, if you ever wondered if Leslie Jones like does it from behind, the answer is given in those pictures. That was the first
Right,
one I
let's
saw.
just
still
stop.
stuck with this.
Let's just stop. This is disgusting.
So in 1937, when Walt Disney made Snow White,
I'm going to vomit up my protein shake. Right.
Wow.
Sean Price has become a new member. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Dane C for $2 says, how much is 18 episodes of Daredevil going to cost? Is it 18? They're making 18.
Yeah,
episodes.
that was something that surprised the hell out of us. And now we're starting to hear that it still might be R-rated or basically and all this other crap. And it's like, why aren't you just picking up where you left off then? Is it really that big of a deal for Kevin Feige? Does he have that much of a hate boner for what's his face from the Netflix show or what?
He must.
Yeah.
Because that was praised to high heaven for a while as one of the best things, if not the best thing Marvel had done. I mean, is that really what butthurt him that bad? Is that he's got to like shit all over because I don't know if you guys know what's happening, but we're getting basically 25 to more like 75% different Daredevil from the Netflix version outside of a couple cast members for no other reason than just because Kevin Feige says so. They don't even have to. They literally went out of their way to buy the rights to the Netflix version. They are well within their rights. I think at one point Chapek wanted that.
Yes.
And Feige's like, nah.
Yeah.
I think that's obvious. I mean, that was like Chapek call that we're going to do this so we can do exactly that. We can do like the season 4 that everyone wants. And Feige's like, that's not my vision.
I don't know. It's so hard to determine anything that is not Kevin Feige's vision at this point. He seems to be renting anyone else's vision that already exists. And
the only reason I think that too is
overlay it on top of his own.
They're retreading all this ground from the previous series.
Yeah. You know, they're basically, you know, that movie which remade X-Men 3, like the second final
the Dark Phoenix one, yeah.
Yeah, Dark Phoenix. That's what they're doing to Daredevil. They're Dark Phoenixing Daredevil.
Yeah. Dark Phoenix in Daredevil.
They're doing that.
I really hope
# Andre, they're Dark Phoenixing
Like, you guys, such a long hashtag. Nobody's going to do that, Andre.
Dude, I've seen so many times that like terms that I come up with as a non-native English speaker are adopted by everyone else.
Hey,
that is not going to become a hashtag. Hashtag Andre's the Dark Phoenixing the Daredevil, and Andre says it's right.
Look, Andre's right though. I mean, I use Heinerscheidet all the time now, in videos. But look, I will say this to answer that super chat because nobody bothered to. That's
how much
easily,
be?
Yeah, that's well. Consider this: the Acolytes, $250 million for 8 episodes.
But lots of VFX though. Lots of VFX.
You don't think they're gonna? You don't think they're gonna have VFX in this?
As much.
They at least don't have a CGI main character like they did with She-Hulk.
Also true, but we don't know who's the villain in the show.
Yeah, true. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, it'll be Vincent D'Onofrio, won't it? It'll be Kingpin, I'd imagine.
And we'll see. I mean, what exactly pours out of this? Like I said, I mean, I have a feeling they'll spend. I have a feeling they'll spend about $200 million a season because they spent $200 million on Secret Invasion for 6 episodes. So.
211, wasn't it? Is the 18 episodes one season or is that 2 seasons?
I don't know, Tom. I thought it was broke over 2 seasons, but I could be wrong.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do at this point because they're starved for content. Any gaps that they can put in there, if the show is popular,
just like Netflix did with The Witcher.
Yeah,
exactly the same.
And it didn't work out well either for them with The Witcher. Last 3 episodes, people were like, "Nah, thanks."
No, it didn't. just as a quick one, guys, we've got nearly 800 people watching this, so thank you so much for joining the podcast and watching it live. Thank you all. Please do hit subscribe on the second channel, Missed H Reviews Live Archive. So if you've only just tuned in, which obviously some of you have, the whole podcast will be available there after the fact. So if you've missed it, which some of you have, check it out, hit subscribe. You will like it. And also hit subscribe on everyone else's channel, which is linked down below as well. Right now, what we're doing is obviously getting through some super chats and then we'll move on to another topic. But so that's kind of what we're doing now, just to explain to everyone. This show is funded by you guys for you guys. So if you want to join in, help out the show, but also, get your question discussed by us, super chats are the way to do it. So we'll get on to one more super chat before we shuffle on to another topic. The Big Nose dropping in with $5. A regular contributor now as well. So thank you so much, my dude. I have noticed. I mean, it's hard not to miss the Big Nose.
Big Nose. Yeah.
So obviously, thank you so much. But for $5, he says, "I love the cries of privileged babies in the morning." And also, can you send the link for Rachel's iCloud photos asking for a friend? Sir. Well, Olaf Van Es can do that, apparently, because he sent them to me.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me. Right, let's shuffle on to our next topic now. And it's basically in the world of Hollywood in general. Like, obviously, the title of the podcast today, your favorite podcast, is Hollywood is Insufferable. So we're going to be looking at the strike. And the strike is, boy, howdy, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. So Hollywood studios offer new concessions to striking screenwriters, Bloomberg News. So let's just take a look at this real quick. So Hollywood studios have made a new offer to striking screenwriters that includes concessions on issues such as the use of AI and access to viewer data. So this is also to, I think they also made this offer to the actors as well. I'm not 100% certain on that. So Bloomberg News reported on Monday, citing people familiar with the discussion. So the Alliance of Motion Picture Television Producers has agreed to ensure humans are credited as writers of screenplays instead of replacing them with AI. That's an amazing thing to see in an article. We're going to ensure humans are credited. Like, yeah, all right. Obviously. Wow. The report said, adding that the companies would also share. This is the real big thing. But this won't be public, but the companies are going to be sharing data on the number of hours viewed on streaming services. So this is how they can get their residuals, basically. Wow. So other parts of the offer include a better than 20% increase in residual payments to writers when their shows appear on networks other than the one that they were made for, which I think is right. Like, that should happen. You're selling it to another service. So, I mean, it's sold on the fact that you're selling it denotes its value. So the writer who created the value must get some of that. I think that's pretty fair. Netflix co-chief executive officer Ted Sarandos has emerged as a strong force, and Walt Disney co-CEO Bob Iger in recent weeks has joined him.
Interesting.
Deal with the writers, the report added. I think they paid for some of that good PR. The union striking Hollywood writers said on Friday it had received a counter proposal from the studios that it would consider an apparent sign of progress in the more than 100-day-old strike, which is insane that it's been going on for so long. It's like a third of a year. The strike by Hollywood writers began on May 2nd after talks began between the WGA and major studios reached an impasse. Blah, 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 blah. We all know about that. What do we think of this as a quick update for the strike? Are we for the strike? Are we against the strike? What do we think? Jonas, what's your opinion on that, buddy?
Well, I'm going to borrow Script Doctor's opinion first, his informed opinion. He stated to us, I think it was on, there's been so much streaming lately. I don't know what's been an offline and an online conversation, but he was fine with this getting out there, that Bob Iger is the one that is holding up things, and he's the one who's been dragging his feet. Because I got to say, his position right now, he's better if they're not making content, because that is they don't have anything good coming around the bend. Deadpool 3 is the next good thing on the horizon for them. So the idea that Bob Iger is praised in this article to me is highly suspect for some of the reasons you said as well. I think Reed Hastings from Netflix and Ted Sarandos, sorry, it was Ted Sarandos that was mentioned there. They're kind of co-CEOs or whatever.
Well, Reed just left actually about.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think Netflix, and the problem right now is with streaming, when everything is on streaming, that back catalog just creates a lack of urgency on the part of the streamers. And Bob Iger right now is kind of dragging his feet. So for them to say a human will be credited, I think that there's going to be an expert AI wrangler who's going to get writing credit on a lot of scripts.
Yep.
And the idea that they're sharing numbers, I think that might actually not be that big of a concession, because it might reveal that these shows are not as popular as they appear to be.
And
that's a lot. Exactly. They don't shoot themselves in the foot by that, are they? They're like, well, here's how little you people are watching our show, so you can get the same amount that we gave you, basically.
But now you're going to know why you're not getting any money.
Yeah. Well, but let me suggest this, that information is very dangerous for them to release to any of these actors, because it will end out in public. That's not going to get. I mean, they're going to count on the people keeping their word or whatever. But somebody who's frustrated with a show,
there'll be leakers for sure.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking at these numbers, whether people want to believe it or not. And
it'll be interesting to see whether what numbers are leaked line up with the likes of oh goodness me, I can't remember the websites which monitor all these things. What are they called again?
Samba and Nielsen.
Nielsen's chart and Samba TV. It'll be interesting to see whether they align with any of that as a ballpark.
I think Nielsen IQ is incredibly accurate, and I know Samba represents 1/3 of the streaming market in the States as far as appliances.
Just scale it up, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of what I do when I look at the numbers. I'm like, okay, this is kind of what this represents. But I think even those estimations are going to be pretty close. And I think people are going to find that these shows aren't getting the kind of attention that people would expect. But my thoughts here, and then I'll let others speak, is because I feel like I've dominated this a little bit, but is that these aren't concessions at all. They're not, or if they are, they're not much of them. Because like one of the lowest risk things they could offer there was to add to what Jonas was saying, is the network switch. When a show switches networks to continue on there to be rebroadcast or whatnot, or perhaps streaming services, that's very low risk, because and by design right now, fewer and fewer shows are making it to syndication. So you're not going to see that very often anymore.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, so that's incredibly low risk, and it's something that I'm like, well, that's an obvious one, that it's not a win. I mean, do
you think the studios are looking at it as syndication has been replaced by streaming anyway, so you don't need the 500 episodes anymore like they used to?
But here's the other thing. Streaming services have to be more discerning now. They have to be careful in what they select to put on there, because they want to create perceived value. they're having a hard time conveying that to an audience right now, and in particular Disney primarily. I mean, like Jonas brought up just a moment ago, the best thing they've got on Disney's Bluey. And it's not theirs.
And they have problems advertising on Bluey because they've promised not to advertise specifically to children. Whenever Disney gets their ad situation worked out, which they still haven't. It sounds like they're going to kill Hulu and make it a blade of Disney Plus, which is I think is a horrendous idea.
That's an awful idea. That's similar moronic thinking to changing HBO Max to Max. You're removing a brand identity, which is marketable in and unto itself. It's the worst thing you could possibly do. It's so stupid.
Yeah.
So Max has suffered massive subscriber loss as a result of that as well. So
that's true. Max's numbers have gone down. The excuse they gave on the earnings call was that when Discovery and HBO Max merged, that it was just the Venn diagram of people who were subscribed to both losing numbers.
Definitely
so
not.
Wall Street went for it. I will say that. Now, Warner Brothers does still have in their back pocket that they're planning on doing another free ad-supported streamer at some point. I don't know if that'll be another tier of Max or some upcoming product like Tubi or Roku. I think right now Hulu and Peacock are kind of where it's at as far as streaming services go. They have a robust ad platform.
Peacock, no, not in the UK. It's not
really?
Here. You can't get Peacock here, so it's
Peacock
not.
It's domestic market only. It's not available anywhere outside of North America.
Yeah, but let's bring it back ever so slightly to the strike and those sort of concessions and things like that. Where do we think we'll see that? With do you think that'll be happy? Do you think that'll the writers will get on board with that? What are we thinking there? Andre, we haven't heard from you, buddy, have we?
I don't think that the writers really are the problem here. From what I
this was offered to the writers, though. So
yeah, I know, but the problem aren't so much the writers. The problem are the heads of the writers' union.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
From what I understand, are a bunch of commies that want to completely uproot the industry, and their support among the writers is waning. So I think that whatever new proposal there is, I don't know that the heads of the WGA are going to be happy with it, but I think that most of the writers will be like, yeah, whatever, just let us work again. That is what I think. And I think that if the guild does not agree with with this thing right here, we're going to start to see some real issues with the writers and dissent among the ranks. Like I don't know that for sure, obviously, but that's just my feeling based on observations.
Do you think if something like this was offered to the actors, because again, it addresses the AI, addresses kind of obviously specific to the writers, but it addresses AI and addresses residuals because of streaming and things like that. Do you think the actors would go for this as well? Because I don't think they would.
Well, what would be the equivalent there as far as
same thing as transparency with the streaming numbers, so they can get better residuals. Selling product to other streamers, so they get more residuals from that as well. Yeah, in terms of the AI, there isn't really an equivalent. I guess the equivalent would be don't use an AI.
Well, no, I think it would be compensation for any time that their scanned image is placed in anything.
Right, all those actors and actresses on the set of WandaVision that were fully scanned to be incorporated into that show and maybe signed over their rights
that they didn't know about. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
I wonder how many people on Marvel Productions right now are like, oh, I'm in a crowd shot. I need to be getting paid. Yeah. I think that one is one they really need to nail down. And there's going to be, I don't know how many people, 40 people from this year that appeared in one production that are going to get paid for the rest of their lives, like they're the Wilhelm scream, and you're going to have those same 50 faces in every production from here on out, and we'll all be going, oh yeah, there's Janice. 20 years from now, I hope she gets paid.
Tom, we haven't heard from you about this. What do you reckon? You're not massively pro strike, I know. So what's your thoughts? Buddy?
Yeah, no, I think this is, for a lot of it, it's.
Think they'll go for this or not? Do you think this will appease some of the WGA?
I mean, the real sticking points for the writers right now is some things that even some of the writers think are stupid, like this mandatory writers room business. And I mean, as far as like the AI thing, I don't even know why that would be an issue. Like the studios, I can't but imagine them thinking that AI is going to be, anything worth a shit in the future, because it's not even really AI, it's simulated
Intelligence. Yeah.
intelligence, really. And then as far as the rest of it goes, I mean, the writers are undersung. I have less sympathy for the actors and their plight.
What?
But yeah, I mean, you guys have pretty much made all the main points. I'm not a big supporter of either strike, but I mean, if I had to support one over the other, I guess I'd just support the writers more than I would the actors in a way. But I agree, like, people should be paid for their work. I don't like where AI is going, and I think a lot of people have good reason to be afraid of some of this shit, and it's going faster than they can regulate it.
No, I completely agree. Completely agree with all of you. But Jonas J. Campbell, my dude, you've got to disappear.
I hate that I do.
That's why I was cutting you off, Culture. Sorry, mate.
No, it's fair.
Now, when I got the invite, I was like, dude, I want to. I probably shouldn't with my schedule, but I want to. So I'm here.
No, thank you for joining. Even if it was for a short period of time, always good to have you on. And I'll always keep shooting over an invite as and when as well. So
awesome.
Whenever you can.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm going to go get back to work. I'm running Valiant Renegades second channel, and also stuff for WDW Pro. I have a channel that whenever I can get free from here, I'll upload a new episode of Everything Woke About, where we can get back to ripping apart.
You want to do Everything Woke About Rachel Zegler and just do a smash cut of all of her comments.
That poor girl. I will say one thing in her favor. Bless her pretty little face. I'm really glad that social media didn't exist when I was 22 years old.
I'd agree with that.
The wealth of stupidity that would be on record right now. The megaphone is not good for everyone. I'll say that.
No, I completely agree. Well, thanks for coming on, dude. Take care. We'll catch you again.
Yep. Have a good one. Bye.
Peace out, man.
Hey,
Peace.
Jonas.
So let's get to some super chats real quick, guys, and then we'll shuffle on to a very, very funny topic, and it is funny. You guys watching, you're gonna love this one. So yeah, and if you want us to cover your comment or question, or you just want to support your favorite podcast, then chuck in a few bucks via the super chat or super sticker function. So Olaf Vanes for €6. Olaf is actually our moderator here. Great dude, doing a fantastic job as moderator. For €6 says 1938 didn't have dating apps to swipe left or right. People charmed, romanticized, and chased or wooed a lady. That in their world now is stalker behavior. And obviously we're referencing Rachel Zegler and the clip, which I couldn't show, but maybe I'm going to be smart. And if this is its own
and I was
video,
reminded that
she
was actually the prince they were arranged marriage in the original story, from what I was told by Anna reminded
it's definitely
me.
Not a stalker then. It's literally hey, meet these two people, you're married, yay. I mean, it's not what is this person, honestly, like well, we all know, don't we, nonsense from bloody on high Disney trying to sort of denigrate the original. But why would you denigrate the original? Wasn't that the first Disney? One of the first Disney?
It was, and that's where I was coming from at first. But then Andre reminded me that this is not the Disney of old. They are doing everything they can to tear down everything that was Disney. I mean, they had an opportunity to try and save Mickey Mouse from the public domain. They didn't bother. And the only thing I can understand is they're letting him go. Like they see him as old guard, and they don't need it anymore. I don't understand the mentality behind it, but whatever.
Maybe they just know they can't fight it now.
Like, well, they already have basically extended it thus far. That's why they have the law as it is, and it
was 80 years, wasn't it?
Well, it was. They had an extension law that was literally called like the Mickey Mouse law, and everybody thought they were going to go argue that Mickey Mouse was basically an icon for their company, so they could maybe extend it that way, but they didn't bother. Like,
yeah. If anyone could have extended something like that, it would have been Disney. Because otherwise it would have been public domain years and years and years and years ago. But it isn't, because it was Disney. And if it still had been that Disney, I'm sure that with their connections and everything like that, they could have kept that going forever. The reason they can't now is because they have pissed off half the legislature. They have become hyper partisan, hyper political, and now they no longer have the necessary political support that they actually can do something like that anymore. That's why because they know that they no longer have the Republican support, and they're going to need support from both. I mean, why do you think that they everywhere they go, they fund politicians on both sides of the aisle? It's because they are smart. But of course, that stopped now when they are being hyper political. But by becoming hyper political, that goes directly at the expense of business, because now that means they can no longer do the very kind of deals that allowed them to retain their copyrights for so long. Again, this is a direct result of Iger's partisan policy. So Iger, he has cost Disney their soul, to the point that he's even cost them Mickey Mouse.
Oh, dear. Well, I think it's interesting if we come back to specifically Olaf's comment here, specifically this, isn't it interesting that, and Jonas, obviously, who just left, he's talking about social media world and things. It is true, isn't it, that the sort of, charm and romanticization, being wooed, chased, sort of ingratiating yourself to someone, that level is now considered a stalker. And was it Henry Cavill that recently got in, well, not recently, but he got in trouble by the Me Too movement because he was like, no, I don't want to, I could just go up to someone and they'll claim I don't want to speak to someone, basically, because they'll just think that I'm trying to on with them. You can't be, a normal bloke in today's society.
Yep.
Paraphrasing. Obviously.
He's right. He's right.
And you had the opposite of that with Brie Larson, where she went off on that TSA agent who supposedly asked her on a date, and she's like, just being a woman is a constant barrage of assault. I'm like, dude, he probably didn't even know who the fuck you were. And you thought, oh, here's a good looking lady, I'm going to hit on her. And you
she doesn't wear...
what? You didn't hear about that? Yeah, because this was actually before she was like even that big. And that's where I was like, what a narcissistic bitch. Like,
that society, what a shame. But that, maybe we can cut Rachel Zegler some tiny amount of slack for thinking that the prince was a literal stalker under that term, then, because if that's how society views men just trying to woo a woman in this day and age,
men are afraid to ask women out.
Slack. No,
and not only that, I'm sorry. I mean, like you said, I accept she's 22 years old, but I also accept that at a certain point, you can reference back what you're saying. I just want to say this: it is not lost on me the significance and the symbolism that taking down the original animated feature film means to these neo-Marxists. That's all I want to say about that, because it is the first full-length animated feature ever made by Walt Disney, and to take it down this entirely different road, to completely destroy it,
it's interesting. That's what they're doing. I mean,
but that goes right back to the point that I made when I first came in here. All of Rachel Zegler says is by design. She has been told to say this by her handlers within Disney, because her handlers within Disney are not proud of Disney's legacy. They hate Disney's legacy. They are ashamed of it, and they want to change it and make it safe and better and more modern. That will be their legacy, which they will be very, very proud of.
Dear. All right, joining us now, Tardy Tuesdays, we've got Nick.
Hey. A little bit more tardy than normal.
Massively, mate.
Yeah, I actually had a meeting with my former boss's boss and my interim boss after our regular department meeting today. Right. I was on a meeting with them that extended it way past normal.
No worries. Nice to have you on. Let's get some of these more super chats. We've got a funny topic to breeze on, so I'm glad you're here for that. So John Apocalypse for £5 says, does Disney have to release Snow White theatrically due to contractual reasons with actors and international markets like why Flash came to
I was going to
theaters?
bring that up. All right, kind of braze that, or however you want to call it, grazed it.
Go ahead, Tom. Yeah, you
But
answer
yeah,
this
no.
one.
I mean, a lot of times it's hard. Okay, it's a lot easier to take something that was meant for streaming and put that in theaters than it is the other way around. Because the other way around is, if you're trying to downgrade something from something that was supposed to be in theaters to streaming, you have all sorts of licensing deals and everything else. Like, that's the thing. If you read like Brian Robbins' interviews leading up to TMNT, you can tell he was kind of worried about the box office. He kind of knew that this movie was not going to do the kind of numbers they need for it to be quote unquote successful, but it doesn't matter because it was, made to fill licenses. At the end of the day, I'm sure from here on out, even though people are kind of spinning this Ninja Turtle movie as a success, they will probably go straight to Disney Plus with any more of their animated features, like Brian said, because they cannot gamble that kind of money on a big animated feature in theaters, all the advertising and all that nonsense. Sure, the licensing helps, but not everything's Ninja Turtles where you can license it to the hilt. They have to, kind of hedge their bets on some of these things. If they've already got preset sales for, Snow White in foreign markets and McDonald's deals set up for a Happy Meal and Doritos deals set up for bags, they can't get out of those deals so easily. Those deals are set up predicated on a theatrical release, right? And then there's also back end deals for the big stars. Like I'm sure in Snow White, Gal Gadot definitely probably has a back end deal because even though some people have said those have went out the window, we've learned recently that's not the case. Because Wonder Woman herself, Gal Gadot, also got a big payday for Wonder Woman 84 for that very reason.
Yeah. So yeah, likely they have to basically release it in theaters to sort of.
On the alternative, like with Blue Beetle, it was a lot easier to throw that into theaters.
Yeah. Israel R for $5 says, the sad thing is that Rachel, with those comments, is disrespecting the hard work of the men and women behind those Disney classics like Snow White. I agree. But also, she's hurting the potential prospect of the movie as well, which is sad because of everyone else that worked on the film. But this is why Hollywood in general is insufferable.
But you know what?
The title of the podcast.
I disagree a little bit with that. But here's like the thing. People say, oh, it's sad for everyone else. Well, everyone who worked on it got paid. Every caterer, every gaffer, every light technician, every best boy, and every key grip, they already got paid. And it doesn't matter how the movie does. They are not going to get a bonus. They're not going to get residuals or anything like that. They will have done 3 more movies by the time this thing comes out. So you know what?
True.
I don't feel bad for anyone involved because everyone who is below the line, they got paid no matter what. Okay, so you made a movie that people didn't appreciate. It happens. Same as all over work. It's like, don't be so narcissistic to expect that everyone is going to like everything you work on. The only one who should take anything personal are the key creatives behind all this. That would be the people who are writing this and the people who are directing and the producing. The 4 or 5, 6 top people who decided how everything goes. They are the ones who are responsible for how this turns out. Literally everyone else are just doing a job for which they will get paid. None of them deserve the sympathy of anyone. The people who deserve your sympathy are those that put blood, sweat, and tears into something that they think is special, and then for whatever reason it doesn't work out. I have sympathy with those. In this particular case, the ones who have decided everything here are a bunch of neo-Marxists that do everything they can to destroy Disney legacy. I don't feel bad for whatever happens to this movie, and neither should anyone else. And that includes the people who work so hard. They got paid for it. It's the same with anyone programming some kind of update for whatever system, right? And then they launch it and something goes wrong. You're going to feel bad for those people, for a bricklayer, and then and then suddenly the building collapses, or the people in the assembly line who built a car and the car gets crashed. No, they did their job and they got paid. No sympathy is owed.
Eloquently put, my friend. Adam has dropped in. Is this Hungarian?
Florence.
That's Hungarian Florence, yes.
There you go. Butchering it every time. For 4,000 Hungarian Florence. One of my friends, I assume, has seen her photos. If this was a desperate marketing move, well, it is not going to work. My friend says so. This is about right. I assume that's what you're. I mean, it might not, and I might be, Right. Anyway, I mean, she's got good tartars. That's about it, really. That's all I would say. Tight little waist. Anyway, moving on. Demonetized. Please do send super chats, guys. Support your favorite podcast.
Yeah, because otherwise this show's
we're actually doing really, really well on viewership, guys. Again, we've got like 800 odd people here.
Yeah,
411 thumbs up. So I will say, please do hit that thumbs up button. It's not for me or the video. It's for you. And the reason why I say that is this video gets unlisted the moment it's done anyway. So it's not for the video, but it's to hopefully get YouTube to send you notifications. And it does seem to be working, or you guys just know when your favorite podcast is on. One of the two, because we're getting more and more viewers, and that's great. So thanks for all of your continued support and increasing support. Real quick for the Big Nose says they'll be using Kevin Smith's script soon.
Oh no,
they already are, aren't they? They already are with Netflix. But speaking of Netflix, let's shuffle on to a very, very funny topic. One I think we can all have a good laugh at. With The Witcher, executive producer thinks Geralt and The Witcher has reached the level of Batman, Superman, and James Bond because he's absolutely high as a kite.
Wait, you're serious?
Yeah. This is that same guy. This guy, it's just ridiculous. Tomek. This producer recently came out, Tomek Baginski came out and said, we had to really dumb down The Witcher because for America, basically Americans don't understand The Witcher. And I was thinking to myself, that's a really dumb thing to say because the predominant fan base for The Witcher were probably Americans to begin with because of the games. Maybe not, maybe not the books, admittedly, but the games, that was probably going to be, by and large, the majority was probably going to be Americans. Really dumb thing to say, but he's come out and said more dumb things. So he was asked about how Cavill departing the series after the most recent third season, how he felt, basically. And he said, Henry was fantastic, was a fantastic Geralt. But in the history of pop culture, we have many actors who played the same character, and the character itself changed. We'll get back to that. I am most pleased that the series was created and became so popular. The Witcher has already reached the level of Batman, Superman, and James Bond. Maybe we hope to see him in a new version only in a few years, but it happened now, and that's nothing new for iconic culture heroes. Fucking hell, mate. What is he on? Right, so if you
I think I get what there's a context here, but I'll get back into it. There's a context here.
Well, oh God, what's the context? You tell
the context is that this is a Polish producer who is speaking to a Polish outlet, and Henry Cavill is the first actor we see playing The Witcher. Yes, in Poland, I think he's the third or the fourth.
True.
There have been a number of earlier Witcher adaptations ever since, I don't know, the 90s or something like that. I don't know how many, but there have been at least one or two earlier takes on The Witcher, and I think there may have been 3. Anyone from Poland in the chat, feel free to correct me. From what I understand,
I think
The Witcher is huge in Poland, and he doesn't say this to anything American. He speaks to his Polish home audience. That's why he talks about the silly Americans, because he has to excuse why this thing is so ultra woke. Well, we have to do that for the American audience. We have to dumb it down for Americans, because and he's right. It's the American producers. It's Laura Hesfich that takes a look at the source material and says, no, this is way too complicated. No, this is way too white and everything. He is not wrong. That's the context here. And in the home market, maybe The Witcher is as big as Batman and Superman. Remember, Batman and Superman they were never that big in Poland.
Oh yeah, mate. Well, look, he is wrong anyway, because he says the actors who play the same character and the character itself changed. Since when did James Bond change the core character traits of James Bond? The character never actually changed as James
Daniel
Bond.
Craig.
Batman. Yeah,
he became a crying milkstop.
Okay, yeah,
but you can't
that's
argue
in isolation, though, isn't it? That's in isolation.
He mentioned it's changed he's not wrong.
I still think it. I still think.
Yeah, you may think that, but the Daniel
Superman
Craig he is physically a different Bond than all the others, and he's a crying milksop. I remember they were so proud about this in the press. Oh, he's so emotional. He cries, and Vesper breaks his heart, and that never happened to the previous Bonds.
Yeah, no,
it's right there. They changed the character with the actor.
Very, very, very little though. Not on the scale he's referencing. I think it'd be. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm just
it doesn't sit with me that. Yeah, I think you're giving him too much benefit.
I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm just saying.
I know you are.
What can he possibly mean? But there's we Norwegian and Polish have very little to do with each other, but I can kind of see where it's coming from.
Oh dear. Culture, what do we think? I mean, this is still nonsense though, either way, because he is still comparing Geralt to the likes on the level of Batman, Superman, James Bond. I mean, maybe in isolation in Poland, but still.
I would like to agree with Andre's devil's advocacy, but I can't.
That's all right. Go for it.
Otherwise, I would have to believe that he's playing 2D chess, or 4D chess here, because he knew how this would translate to a Polish audience, and he knew how it would translate to an American audience.
I don't think he's that smart, basically.
Right? Exactly. And if he was being explicit here, if he were playing this differently and he wanted to convey what Andre is making an assumption about, he would have said specifically the producers in America are stupid, or the production in America is stupid, or whatever, rather than attacking just Americans as broadly as possible. So like I said, that would be one of the reasons I would kind of throw cold water on that. But
also, just to interject real quick, people are correcting us in the chat, and they're saying actually there's only one movie with The Witcher, so this is actually the second Witcher.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Just as an FYI, I see that. Yeah. So there's comments coming through.
Yeah. Can I say one more thing about?
Of course you can.
One more time.
Open forum.
Just to address what you said there, culture. Because sure. If he had said, "Oh, it's just the American producers,"
he wouldn't be allowed to do that.
He'll never work with Netflix. He'll never work with any American ever again. Whereas if he talks about Americans in general, and someone asks him, he can say, "Oh, but I meant your Trump supporters," and he's like, "Oh, yeah, I hate those people. You're good."
I guess so. But
I still, like I said, I still think it's a lousy way to go about things. And if he really believed he was keeping it in the Polish audience, why would he have been so careful?
You don't even have to say the Trump thing anymore. That's the thing, Andre. Just in general, hating America is a left thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah, from within our own country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Tom, you want to chime in on this, bud?
No, I don't give a fuck about The Witcher.
Nick, do you want to chime in on this, bud?
I'm pretty much in the same boat as Tom here, but two quick things.
Right?
Yeah, two quick things. I knew where Andre was going before he even went there, because I can totally see what he's talking about. Second, it's sad that so many other people in the world outside of America look at us as pretty much a joke nowadays, whether it be you're on the side of looking at Trump and Trump supporters as the joke, or the whole wokeness and all that sort of stuff as a joke. Either way, pretty much everybody's looking at America right now like those people are fucking stupid over there. The whole society is weird and crazy and dumb,
Yeah. I think that's the Western world in general, though. That's what people are viewing the Western world as. Because
but many people are
lunacy
saying,
now.
where does this? Yeah, but like many are like saying, where does this insanity come from? There,
America.
Yeah. America. Anyway, let's. I thought we'd have a good laugh at that topic. So we've got a few more super chats, real quick, just to get to before we move on to a topic specifically saved for you, Nick. Oh yes.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. Olaf Van S for €2 says also talks for Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman 3, right? Brackets your video. I don't know what's going on with Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman 3 now, because we covered it here on the channel, but then there was another sort of exclusive from other people that were like, no, that's not happening. She's confused. And I'm like, I reckon James Gunn just lied to her, because he's lied so much. Like, he lied about Ben Affleck. He was like, yeah, I've sat down with Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's well keen to do some directing. Yeah. And Ben Affleck came out in an interview, was like, I don't want to fucking direct for him. I just think he lied to her.
I'm not even so sure it's a
debacle.
I'm not so sure it's even a lie so much as like they had clearly. Well, they clearly had some meeting with everybody way back in, what was it, November, December, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Where they talked to everybody. And I'm sure when they left this meeting with like Ben Affleck, I'm sure he was cordial to James, but yeah, he gave us his real feelings in that interview. He was like, fuck no, I ain't going back to that crap.
Yeah.
He was done with that shit before James was part of this thing.
Yeah.
As far as Gal, I think it's half. Yeah, they're feeding her full of like, yes, we're gonna do something eventually with you down the road, maybe, sort of, kind of, you never know.
Right around when you turn 70.
Yeah, and she took that as a definite, maybe, possibly something was happening. Right. So and her interpretation also is another thing people have brought up, that her interpretation skills of English are not very good from what I've heard.
That's true.
So
also, it could just real quick, we're demonetized.
I mean,
surprise.
Yeah, it's because I started talking. But it could
a while ago.
It could even have been a situation where they were sitting there just praising the fuck out of her in the discussion, but they didn't really promise her jack squat. Right? They could have clearly said,
she
like,
quoted him. This is the thing. She quoted him by saying, "You're in like." The quote is, "They said to me, you're in safe hands, and I have nothing to worry about."
Are you sure they didn't tell her Wonder Woman's in safe hands and you have nothing to worry about? And she interpreted that as herself. Because that's the thing, is James Gunn has been radio fucking silent on this whole damn thing.
Oh, wow.
That's
and
true,
everybody else has
pretty
pretty much announced their adios amigo to the franchise. And her initial thing that she put out sounded like she was signing off for now. And there's nothing on the slate coming up here. To me, this is what I got out of Patty Jenkins' thing. There was never going to be a Wonder Woman 3 once James Gunn came on. Because she flat out said, I offered to rewrite this thing and work with them and whatever. I even asked them what they wanted, and they basically told me this was not going to happen. It's just not happening, period. Sorry. That's my take of the whole damn thing.
No, you answered it for Olaf very nicely. So we've got 2 more super chats to get to, and then we will shuffle on to a topic especially for Nick. So again, like I said, we are demonetized. We do get demonetized all the time. They just get demonetized. It is what it is. So your favorite podcast is funded by you guys. So if you want to help us out, keep the lights on, get us to read out your question, comment, whatever it might be. It doesn't have to be anything we're talking about. It can be anything you want to ask us. You've got a captive audience here that will disseminate your question or comment. And more often than not, they get put as their own video on the second channel, which you can find linked in the description box, Mistakes Reviews live archives. And I always make sure to include the name in that video, me reading it out, talking about it. So you literally get featured, basically. It's like a feature on the second channel. So help your favorite podcast out. Anyway, Cardinal Sin for $10 says, seems to me that if Disney just remastered the old films for AV and released them every 7 years, they'd have almost no overhead, be able to cash in on nostalgia and not go over budget, losing millions of dollars.
There's
yeah, I
one
mean,
problem.
I guess for the animated ones, yeah.
Well, there was a
maybe,
problem
I
that
guess.
happened, and that was at one point when digital became a thing. See, the reasons why it worked during the age of VHS is VHS tapes wore out, right? And kids trashed them.
Yes.
Discs
Yeah, that's
last
true.
forever. Internet lasts forever. We've been passing around files now for the better part of 25 years online.
25 years? Really?
Think about it for a minute.
Napster.
Go back and look when Napster started.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, no, you're right.
Almost everything and
That
anything
makes
you
me
could
feel old, Tom.
I know,
get
but
out.
it's the
Get off
fucking
my
truth,
podcast.
man.
You make me feel old.
And what happened was when Disney
Screener
was
copies.
Yep, and when Disney was doing their new round in the last like 20 years of their Vault releases, what they had done this time was they were re-releasing everything in 3D. And it did okay, and then they didn't convert Aladdin, they just released it flat out, and it didn't do well. See, that's the thing. They started noticing, oh shit. Well, that's because the DVDs and Blu-rays you already released are still fine and dandy, and kids can still watch them 100,000 times over and over and over again. There's no reason for a parent to drag their kid to the theater for a movie that they still have sitting on the shelf. That's a problem.
Yeah,
and then when and again, then when Disney Plus came along, that was the end of it. That was basically you put a gravestone on it now, because when they put The Little Mermaid right next to Little Mermaid 2 and 3, it made it useless, right? It no longer was this important thing. And I think that's kind of what hurt Pixar over the years too, is they went against the grain with Disney, and that was why Eisner was pissed with them, was because they're like, no, our movies will always be available no matter what. And Eisner's like, no, I want to put them in the vault. They're like, Toy Story will never be vaulted. And guess what? Toy Story is not as popular as it used to be. Didn't they just send out a report recently, Culture, that Toy Story, Cars, and all these other big franchises they used to have aren't selling like they used to?
Nope.
All those kids are growing up.
Well, not just that, the importance of them has gone away. Can you imagine how important Toy Story would be had we only been able to see it every 7 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and it speaks also. It's even bigger.
That's
than
the only mistake Lasseter made. I'll say that's one thing I'll put against him.
And that's true, but again, we also have the problems that exist because they eliminated all the other avenues of income. I mean, Cardinal Sin's 100% accurate here. I mean, because they eliminated all the other markets, the secondary revenue streams, which I think Tom and I've counted like 5, 6, 7 of them. To be fair, that they've
all together,
yeah, they've destroyed themselves, and so this was a great strategy. It worked for decades, and then it didn't anymore because they cannibalized it. They did it to themselves. I mean, let's just be fair. They did it to themselves.
Their run was pretty simple. You'd re-release a movie in theaters, generally remastered. Then it would go to home video, and then the theater tie-in itself would have like a McDonald's Happy Meal. A new toy line would be brought out because of it. There would be clothes tie-ins, coloring book, you name it. All that stuff would go along with every re-release. Then it would hit the video, and then after the video and video on demand, then it would go to, they would once in a great while, only certain ones would get shown on the Disney Channel. They wouldn't show all of them, only certain ones sometimes. And then once in a great while, they'd also get a television network showing, but that was also very rare.
It was
like
also,
these,
they broke it up with commercials too, so it had multiple types of value, and it didn't.
That's what I mean. Each one of these streams was a different stream of revenue. Exactly.
Yeah.
The also, if you guys remember when movies would come out of the vault back in the day, parents and stuff rushed to the store to grab those. Now that everything's digital, the vault's not really needed. I mean, you can pretty much get anything you want whenever you want. The only
the vault's
thing
just for them, isn't it? Really, it's so they could store it nowadays. It's not really anything.
It's a literal vault now.
Yeah. The only thing I think that they could do where they could where this would make sense, what Cardinal Sin's talking about here, is if they released collectors a limited edition collector's edition of the physical media that comes with like say you do Little Mermaid and it comes with a Little Mermaid statue or like a print, something that also is bundled with it that's literally just sold on a limited number run from the Disney store or something. You know, it's not mass produced.
Well, they're kind
or
of doing
like that.
something right now, and this is what they did because they finally released their first classic animated film in 4K. Now, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, and Lion King have already gotten 4K releases. Okay, those were technically considered modern Disney films. But earlier this year, Cinderella got released on 4K, only as a Disney Club exclusive. But now this October, it comes out everywhere. But they sold out of it at the Disney Club. So they're kind of trying to recreate that demand. Exactly. So now people were selling it on eBay for like $50-$60 or whatever. Well, of course, most people knew it was coming in October, but yeah.
That is quite smart, actually.
The thing is, you can still get the 4K editions, digital copies of the file.
Absolutely.
The only thing is if you sell like a collector's edition that comes with something else that's tangible, that's a collector's item, sort of like when Lord of the Rings box sets came out and they had the book design and each one came with like a statue of the White City, of Gollum, the other two big statues with the hands put out that they went by on the boat, that sort of stuff, you can't digitally recreate that. That's something tangible. That's something physical that is like a collector's item, and
they don't
I
like
literally
doing
bought
that now.
those because of
No,
that.
they don't.
So
just the boutique companies do, and that's it. Yeah.
Well, what I mean is that they've even removed all the special features to Blu-rays and stuff now.
In fact, we were just
dumb.
talking about Warner Brothers has now removed all the special features from their 4K releases that are upcoming now. I just bought Enter the Dragon, not one special feature on it.
Wow.
In
They
fact,
just announced that they were celebrating that with like a game or a movie or something like that. There's something else was coming out to celebrate. Anyway, never mind. That's so dumb. Sorry.
Exorcist will also not have any special features on it.
They're decreasing the
new
value
Exorcist.
Of the physical
No, the original movie.
I was gonna say I don't care about.
Yeah.
The 4K release of the original.
Right. God damn. Well, there you go, Cardinal Sim, my dude.
But actually, we're going to talk a little bit about this tomorrow on 4K for You because Walmart has just made a deal with SDS, which is pretty much the main distribution system now for Blu-rays and DVDs and stuff like that for the industry. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, check in tomorrow and you can ask us all your nerdy questions then.
There you go.
Cardinal got us $10 worth right there.
Definitely it is. The Sundowners Club for $9.99 says, when are the studios going to start firing these actors, producers, and writers for costing them revenue with stupid comments? It's the same thing over and over again. They need to muzzle the talent. That whole question is great, but it is predicated on the fact that they are going against the studios, which Andre will argue that they are singing from the studio's hymn sheet here, which I would probably agree with.
I mean, Rachel Zegler, she's not going riot here. This is not her going off script. This is her telling her exactly what the Disney handlers are telling her to say. Because this is something that I was like noticing, that I was like thinking about like years ago when you had all of these Marvel comic book creators that went to full frontal assault against the fan base. I was like thinking, how is this allowed? The only way that this can be allowed so often and so frequently is if it's condoned. Because if it wasn't, then the first time it happened, then the first person that went out and attacked the properties they were working on and the audience reading them, they would delete whatever they said. There would come a retraction and an apology, and it would never happen again. Instead, it happened again and again and again and again and again and again. I mean, that's not anyone going rogue. That's not anyone going against the company. That is the company telling them, this is okay, and we want you to do it.
Yeah, well, that's the rise of hate bait marketing, isn't it, basically?
Yeah, anti-marketing, and again, I mean, it's essentially it's a tacit acknowledgement or agreement that's been formed if they really didn't prompt the people to say these things. As I agree with Andre that they do, But by not saying anything, by not reacting, I think that's the other problem.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, it's admission by omission.
Yeah,
Yes,
indeed.
yeah,
Indeed. Yeah.
I think my word in
Silence
there
is compliance, or silence is
there you
consent, or whatever you want to put
Yeah,
it with.
compliance via silence.
Silence
don't
is
say
violence.
Silence is
consent.
complicity. Silence is complicity in this matter. Is what I mean.
Only, yeah, Bill Cosby learned the hard way. That's not the case.
Silence is consent in Andre's world.
We are so.
I mean, we kind of saw a point where I think the studios were really look. The reason why all these actors and stuff were pissed about what Bob Iger said about starving them out is because they know they could, right? It's absolutely true. And right now, that was kind of their way of telegraphing, like, we've had enough of this garbage. We need to get back to making stuff that makes money. And I think that a lot of shit's going to get force majeured, and there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be coming back to the studio system once all this strike business is all said and done, because it's going to be like, we want a Barbie, bring us a Barbie. You know, they're not going to take less than that anymore. Like, this is what I keep trying to tell people is like, oh, the studios need to learn. They won't learn shit. They'll never spend less. All they ever do is find ways to make you pay for it. They don't know how to make, they will never know how to go back to the way they were. It just won't happen. And here's a perfect example of just what I've been talking about for the last few weeks. If you want to share this real super quick here, because it goes right along with this crap. Randall Park says Hollywood keeps taking the wrong lessons from successful films. For example, Barbie is a massive blockbuster, and ideas make more movies about toys. No, make more movies about by and about women. No, even that's the wrong fucking lesson, you idiot. It's like I said, they can't get this shit right. It's like, no, if you make something that actually appeals to the market that it should be, or demographic that it's made for, it should work.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. Top Gun 2 is a great example. Spider-Man No Way Home, great example.
Yeah, no, you are completely right. So we're going to pause on super chats just briefly, guys. But again, you want us to cover your super chat, your comment, your question, whatever it is. You've got a captive audience. We will dive into that. But I want to get into our next topic. Whilst we still got a bit of energy here, especially whilst I've still got a bit of energy. For Nick, Dave Filoni confirms Sabine Wren will be Ahsoka Tano's apprentice.
Oh, I've not seen this.
Go boss. Woo! Yeah.
Well,
I know.
As if we
I guess that's
that in
I guess that's why they
series.
came out with this Master and Apprentice clip on the official Star Wars YouTube page.
Wait a minute. So Ahsoka's a master, but Anakin wasn't.
Go boss. Woo!
Yeah,
how does that work?
Left the Jedi Order. She never even became a Jedi.
Honestly, fucking Dave Filoni. It doesn't matter if it's Ahsoka, mate. He'd jerk all over that Jimmy.
Ahsoka's all the women's.
Oh,
yeah.
All the powers, all the Jedis.
Honestly. So let's take a look, right? Honestly, you'll love what he
She
says.
taught Rey everything she knew vicariously through the Force.
Do you know who taught Ahsoka though? Jennifer Lawrence. She was the
of course.
Jedi.
Yeah. It wasn't Anakin, it was Jennifer Lawrence.
Dave Filoni confirmed that the series will depict Sabine Wren as Ahsoka Tano's apprentice. And this is what he said. It's so dumb. I hate this. When you step into Star Wars and you work with George, you are part of a legacy. You're part of history. And we had to uphold that history and yet do this completely new and different thing. Sorry, mate. Those things fucking contradict one another. What are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, just that alone cracked me up when I saw this. So it says further, from the beginning of the series, Ahsoka is out there on the fringe of the galaxy. When she hears whispers of this warlord's return, she decides to enlist her friend's help. Scroll down. I'm telling this story about this mentor-student relationship that passes from Anakin to Ahsoka to Sabine. It's quite extraordinary bringing this to life. So it is, yeah. It's going to be an apprentice, mentor, apprentice, master, apprentice. Anakin, Ahsoka, Sabine. Nick, give me your thoughts as a mega Star Wars fan.
This is not Star Wars. Ahsoka's dead. Dave Filoni, Love speaking at women's conferences. He's not much better than Kathleen Kennedy. I'm not on board with Filoni at all. Granted, the Clone Wars was pretty well received, but this all orchestrated from that. He wanted Ahsoka to go on and have the story. George said no. She dies along with all the other Jedi. Of course, when Disney bought it, he could pretty much do whatever he wanted to, and brought her back using the world between worlds, and that's how he got her to come back. But then he says the world between worlds is not time travel. And as we've all seen from the trailers, this is 100% the Force is female.
The world between
because
worlds is basically a Jedi bread box. It's where you keep the Jedi for a while, keeps them
Yeah.
fresh.
Yep, exactly.
So they're needed, and you can pluck them out.
And then on top of that, they're throwing in, the nostalgia bait with the Anakin trailer, with him talking in it, and the rumors of him being in it as a Force ghost, which I can see probably being the case and probably happening. But it's fool's gold. It is all fool's gold. Not to say the show's not going to be watchable. Maybe it is. I haven't seen it, so I can't really say. But everything that's happening, and given their track record, I literally, if I wasn't doing a majority Star Wars based channel, I probably wouldn't even watch this show. I don't have any interest. Star Wars is dead, as culture likes to say. And it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue.
I will watch this just for the meme, and also for Ray, because I think he's going to be great in this.
Yeah,
how's that? Balon, whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's his last
I think it'll be
thing.
epic.
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought about this actually last night as I was driving back home from the store. If you go to a landfill, and you're digging through just piles and piles of trash, every once in a while you might come across like a gold watch that accidentally got thrown away by somebody or something. That's pretty much Disney Star Wars. It is a pile of trash, and every once in a while in these shows you might see a gold watch or something like that. I'm sure something in this Ahsoka show, there'll be a moment or a scene or a visual or something that I can take away from and be like, all right, that was cool, I like that. But it doesn't change the overarching entirety of the show and the IP under Disney's rule, which is basically a pile of trash. I can, everything that they've come out with, even going back to The Last Jedi, I can pick something out of it that I liked or something that was positive about it. It's not like I'm just negative Nancy on everything from start to finish. I've liked certain aspects and things, but the level of quality compared to what George did with the original trilogy is not even close to being the same. None of it has any rewatchability for me. Even the first 2 seasons of Mando, which I enjoyed for the most part, especially the last episode of season 2. I don't ever go back and rewatch those, but I could throw in Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi any day of the week and watch them from start to finish. And I've seen those probably over 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the sort of old and versus the new, and how the sort of direction of it's gone. So I did a movie marathon at the weekend whilst drinking some beer, which was very nice. Of the Alien movies. God damn, they hold up. Some more than others, obviously. But it's so exceptionally good. It's amazing how you watch each and every single one, and because they sort of go through the eras, and generationally they change, and as they start to modernize, you're like, you've completely lost touch with what the original was. And so Star Wars specifically is fascinating in that as a larger sort of case study, because obviously I'm watching Aliens just movie by movie, but Star Wars as a larger case study obviously made the bulk of them back in a time with one sort of creative vision, and then now such a jarring byproduct of the new stuff. It's just like, you've completely lost the plot with what the original stuff was, and there's no rewatch value. Like I don't think I'd rewatch the first season of Mandalorian. I don't think I'd rewatch any of the.
I haven't.
I don't think I would rewatch any of the new Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
There's no appeal there. There's very few things have rewatchability for me in this day and age as well. I think there's only the last couple of years I only rewatched a few films that I'd seen. There's very few actually, which maybe that's just modern media in general. But anyway, sorry, Culture, you want to say something?
No, I was going to agree with you, Nate. I think the dichotomy is the dividing point. I think that they managed to make something that was, perceived to be enormous, giant, infinite in Star Wars, and they managed to make it rather small because they've only been able to expose us to things that they think they know about, like Tatooine and Coruscant and just a few choice places. It is very telling that that's their understanding of Star Wars, which makes them, I don't know, ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, Star Wars has been dead for a while. Nick's right. I've been saying that forever. But this is not going to help it. And if anything, it's going to confuse matters even more when they get past this, which is not going to do well, to the Acolyte, which is going back in time to this, let's get high Republic that flopped all over the place like a dying fish on the sandy shore. This is not boding well for the future of Star Wars. They continue to devalue it, and it's kind of disgusting.
Well, yeah, because after Ahsoka comes out this month. Next week, I think it is, isn't it? Next week it comes out, 23rd or something.
Yeah, 23rd. Yeah, 10 days from yesterday.
2 days ago.
Today. Yeah, 2 days.
10 days from 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? Wait, stop doing math.
But then after that, the next thing is going to be the Acolyte, isn't it? There's nothing else that releases.
And the Acolyte was originally, I think they were going to try to get it out December of this year, but it looks like it's going to be pushed back to 2024. But then you got some saying that it's not going to happen, but it's
happened. KK Anon. Tom Connors, help us out with the KK Anon. Tom Connors is dead, everyone.
The Acolyte is just a tax shelter for her, and it's not really happening. She's selling her house now, so she's clearly homeless. So this has been such a disaster for Kathleen Kennedy that she will have to probably move to Zimbabwe or something to hide.
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love this KK Anon bit. I absolutely love it. It's so funny. Right, anyway.
Celebrities never sell one of their many homes unless there's trouble.
Yeah.
Especially in Malibu.
Right, let's shuffle on to some super chats. The Big Nose for $2 says, where a boy can be a girl. Merca. Yep.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
But it depending on how this next election goes, that could be something that is outlawed.
That will be interesting to see how that goes. Mo Zamboni for $10 says, Mr. H, you got me into this sphere with your Terminator lore videos, then crapping all over Tim Miller. Great content, as always. P.S. I want an Infiltrator movie badly. What a chilling concept. Yes. Yeah. I'm glad I could get you into this sphere. Tim Miller. Loads of people doubted me. Loads of people always doubt me. They're like, you know what you're talking about. Who the fuck are you? I've never heard of you before. And I'm like, mate, track record speaks for itself. When I say I've got sources, not this KK Anon bollocks. When I say I've got sources, 9.9 times out of 10, it's all completely legit. Oh dear.
Leslie Headland has secretly been fired too. You know this, Mr. H.
Sorry. Yeah, and yeah, definitely.
And she will be drummed out of Hollywood.
It's not the bleating cries of an individual losing all airs of relevancy. Definitely not. It's definitely not what that is.
Can I suggest something? Unless we're
Be
covering
my
it?
guest.
We were supposed to get another Star Wars project this year.
Oh, what were we supposed to get?
Jude Law's Skeleton Crew.
That's gonna be next year. That'll probably be
They
fall
pushed
of
it.
next year.
They pushed it hard.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Pushed it
wow.
hard.
Wow.
Yeah, another project that I literally know nobody that's interested in it. Not even
I
people that are
forgot
still
that
on
even
board with Disney
existed.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
I
And
forgot that
here's
even existed.
here's another thing that Peli brought up in the chat, but we did a video on it this morning. I was with WDW Pro. They're abandoning Singapore location for Lucasfilm.
Are
So
they?
that's 300 jobs. They're pulling out the people
I'm
responsible
surprised
for
with that.
doing Clone Wars. Gone.
Oh.
Yeah,
Does that
the
mean that
interesting.
Droids animated show is dead?
I don't know, but I'm just saying that you know those folks done. Bye. And
That's
yeah, they're
surprising.
pulling out. They're closing up shop places, and there's a bigger subject here, and I'd love for Andre to get into it. You know, with some research from Six and a few others, but I think the layoffs are far more extensive now than the 7,000 promised. I think we're approaching the 12,000 number that was bandied about not that long ago. Yeah,
I can believe that.
yeah.
I can believe it. Just do it in short bursts, so you don't really realize what they're doing. I guess
Yeah.
is the take home. Donovan Bradford for $5 says, so did the $1 billion in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles merch sales this year come from retailers buying products to sell or from customers buying products from retailers?
Oh,
Go, Tom, go. Go get him.
There
What have
has
you got it?
been.
What have you got to say? I did a video on this. Go on. What did you think?
Did you? I haven't seen your video yet. I apologize, but
Well,
I'm
I did
curious
it
to
from
hear
the
what your thoughts
angle.
are.
Well, I did it from the angle. This is where a brand is successful because this was This is 2023 alone. Up until now, it's done $1 billion, whereas from 2012 until now, it only done $8 billion. So no, until 2012, not included. So 2012 to 2022, it only accumulated $8 billion in sales. But in 2023 alone, already it's hit $1 billion. So what I said, that's I did it from the
Interesting you
angle
brought that
that's
up.
when I did that from an angle where merch, whether you like the movie or not, this has proven to be successful from merchandising perspectives, I guess.
Right.
What's your
It's
take on
very
this?
interesting. You basically are along the same lines I am. Because all this mutant mayhem crap, that none of that's going to show up until this quarter's earnings, right? All that $1 billion is from shit like this and this and the NECA stuff and all the classic Turtle stuff that's been selling like crazy. The stuff that they never gave us before that we've wanted for years. Oh, like, this stuff here, like this, that's $1 billion worth of merchandise right there. That's how you sell it, right? When you sell the Ninja Turtles that look just like they did when I was a fucking kid, I will spend $100 on a 4-pack of these guys. Okay, it happens. But no, I don't see the Mutant Mayhem stuff selling nearly at the same level, but they have oversaturated the market with this movie. And this is what we had done a report on ourselves, where the only reason Mutant Mayhem exists was to fulfill license obligations they had. And they also licensed it to everything. Like I seen Mutant Mayhem fishing poles yesterday.
What?
Yes.
I bet they were selling like hotcakes too, weren't they, Tom?
No, but like that's the same thing. Like I seen a whole wall of. Here's the other thing: they've got toys for the movie that aren't even really related to anything that's in the movie. Okay, so you've got like this line of Ninja Turtles that came out earlier or late this last year, earlier this year, where they were the classic Turtles and they were on these skateboards that you put them on and they whip around and do all this stuff. At no point in this movie do any of the Ninja Turtles ride a skateboard. Mondo Gecko does. Right?
Oh.
And they have these figures where all 4 of the new Turtles are on these same skateboard setup, just like they made earlier this year. They have a whole wall of them. One has sold at my local store. That's it. And it's like, this is not even in the movie. They got a turtle van that's not in the movie. They have a pizza van that's in the movie. You can get that at most stores. But now to get that Target exclusive deal, which actually has the turtle van that is non-existent in the film. Right? So that's the thing, is this thing has been licensed to hell. This is exactly why Seth Rogen put 100 million mutants in the movie, is so they could have a shit ton of figures to sell. That's why. That's all it is for, kids. It's a license filler. And as we say in our opening of our video, Ninja Turtles is one of the biggest licensed properties of all time. Period. Hands down. Like, you think about it, there has probably been a Ninja Turtle merch made of it at some point, because Nickelodeon has signed off on everything since they bought it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's freaking Ninja Turtle toilet paper and condoms at this point. I shit you not.
It's everywhere. It is.
There is. Well, so I mean, I did it from. I guess we're both on the same kind of page. Realistically, is where this is where merchandise and brand tie-ins and movies is successful, because I compared it to the likes of Marvel and Star Wars, whereas their sales are always discounted. Their toys and merch is always discounted.
Max, they
done very, very well.
Sorry, Mr. H. Max made a joke in the chat. TMNT bidets. Dude, they probably have Ninja Turtle fucking toilet seats. And I'm not even fucking kidding.
I can believe that. I can actually believe that.
Nickelodeon has licensed it to everything and anything you can think of.
Sense.
Yes.
It makes sense. Andre actually has to dip out now. Don't you, buddy? So
yeah, I do, unfortunately. But it was a pleasure to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was good to have you on. I know it's late there now, so thank you for joining regardless, but I do appreciate it, dude.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, have a great rest of the stream, and I'll see you all later.
Catch you on Thursday, maybe?
That is the plan.
Perfect.
Bye, Andre.
That is the plan.
Peace out, buddy.
And for things coming, working on exclusive membership content for Midnight Edge members. So something to look forward to that for those where there's overlap.
There you go, guys. There you go.
All right,
take care, Andre, my dude. Have a good one, bud. I need to start doing some. It's not a joke. It's kind of a bit, but also I do need to. I need to start doing some membership content, because my brain is stuck in doctor mode. Fucking synovial joints.
Oh,
periosteum. Love a good old periosteum.
Gotta love that
fibrous
fluid.
capsule. Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Shum for $5 says the only thing left in the vault is Song of the South, and we know they lost the key to that safety deposit box.
I got a Blu-ray of a 35mm scan.
There you go. And you need to share that. You need to share that, bud.
Song of the South, sweet potato pie and shit. I got a file of it too somewhere I can send you.
What is it?
You got to send it.
Oh, you don't know what Song of the South is?
No, mate.
Okay, wow. Song of the South is one of the most notoriously hidden films in the last 30 years, because Disney used to be kind of it used to be one of the live action films, kind of like Mary Poppins and a few others that would also get devaulted every few years, and Disney would actually do theatrical releases. In fact, the last theatrical release of it would have been what, 1986, if I'm not mistaken, Culture Casino? Somewhere in that region they did.
Yeah, it was very early 80s.
Somewhere in the early to mid late 80s, somewhere in that area. Yeah, I want to say it was somewhere between 84 and 86. They did a re-release of it. That was the last time officially. And it actually got released on video, and I don't think it ever got released on DVD.
No, it was strictly VHS.
Yeah, and then it kind of went away. Like they apologized for it in so many ways, saying that it was racist and all this business, without even really asking anybody if they thought it was racist.
I do this all the time, though.
Yeah, and
they get a trigger warnings. They're like, "Yeah, I triggered." Now, fuck off.
Well, and what's funny about it is the points that they say that, oh, it's racist because it paints slavery as what's the word I'm on? It kind of, I guess, glorifies it in a weird, romanticizes it in a weird way. And I'm like, not really. And I said, I think they're missing the bigger point here. The point is they should be toting this movie as proof that Walt Disney is not a racist, because who else in a million years was going to make this movie back then? Because for those who don't know what the movie's about, it's a collection of classic
stories,
black folk tales.
Yeah,
basically. Brer Rabbit is a very famous folklore or folk character in their in the stories they used to pass down generation to generation to generation. Now, some of these stories have been written down in books, but those have also been considered racist. So a lot
Yeah.
of those are hard to come by now. And I've talked to a few people about this that happen to be Black, and they say the same thing, is that they're erasing our heritage, right? Because they're like, these are stories like my grandma used to tell me, right? Like these are stories that her ma used to tell her, and so on down the line. They were the stories they used to pass down generation to generation, and they all had little either anecdotes, lessons, or sometimes they were just for fun, just like every fairy tale or folklore that comes out of every culture. But for some reason, this one movie seems to have been treated like the end all be all of racist films, and it's like it's not even close.
Well, they need
right?
a scapegoat. That's what they do, isn't
Exactly.
it? They get a scapegoat movie and go, see. We're
Exactly,
good.
and it kind of hit its end of its road here. What was it, earlier this year or last year, at the end of last year, Culture, when they closed down Splash Mountain?
Wow.
Well, I mean, they closed down
Because that was the ride that was associated with that movie, and it's one of the most famous rides at Disney. And yeah,
well, and the film would have been, or the film just expired its 75th anniversary in 2022. So of its original theatrical release. And you were right, Tom. The last wide release of the film theatrically was November 1986. So I can't believe your memory, but I know
Good, man.
I know some theaters were.
I remember seeing that, and I saw 101 Dalmatians when I was 4.
Yeah, and I remember some theaters were able to do it a few years later because they still had copies of it. But those were few and far between. And then I think the only public copy officially out there is in the Library of Congress now.
I got one.
Or the National Archive, I should say.
Somebody scanned the 35 millimeter, and it looks really nice.
Yeah, and I need to see it again. It's a great film. I think that I know somebody.
It's all right. The animated parts are amazing. Like the rest of it is kind of hokey.
I think that I know somebody that has a still wrapped copy of it in the VHS box.
That might actually be worth just a penny or two.
Yeah.
I really like the animation, and I'm sure
archive.
Mr. H has seen this, but the live action animation mix with bed knobs and broomsticks.
You know what's funny about that is there was an
Yeah.
extended cut of that available for years, and here's a good example of where digital can change shit. People got pissed because they bought that movie in the extended cut on DVD and digital, and then when they brought it out on Blu-ray, it was only the theatrical cut, and they changed the digital version without telling people. So if you had the extended cut before, and you no longer have it now, unless you had the DVD.
Let's we got 2 super chats from Batter SSL. So it says losing Gal's Wonder Woman is the biggest loss of the Gunverse.
Is it though?
I don't know. I actually thought she
are
was,
any of them really
okay, but I thought she was good at Wonder Woman.
I think she was a good Wonder Woman. I'd like to agree, but I also think DC is a dead brand at this point.
Right.
That's where I'm at too. Is you got to either just reboot or nothing at all, because like you start picking and choosing, you're just gonna.
Sorry, go on.
I was just saying, you're just gonna confuse the audience. That was all I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she was great as Wonder Woman. She is. I like her as Wonder Woman, but as part of a brand. There's no value there, is there? Really? Like, there's nothing.
Yeah,
it just doesn't get people to the theaters anymore. People.
R said it right in the chat there. She's 1 in 1 as Wonder Woman, and actually, if you bring in all of her other appearances, she was pointless. There was no reason whatsoever for her to be in BVS.
Yeah, she became cameo woman basically.
Oh,
she was literally there just to show up for 2 seconds at the end. Yeah.
I have to tell you, it was god awful. Her appearance in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. That was terrible.
That was a cringier part of the movie, because I actually enjoyed that movie more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, I mean, I did too. Absent the dudes like being cucks, at the beginning with her, and then at the very end. I mean, I'm like, if she wasn't in this at all, it would have been a much better film.
In Justice League, she feels like everybody else painted into a painted movie.
Oh wait, I just mixed 2 films together. I mixed Flash together with
Oh, and yeah, don't forget her little cameo in Flash. That's right.
That's what I just did.
Just
That's
get Ezra Miller to admit he's a virgin. Fucking
Yeah.
God awful.
Bass at SSL for another $2 says, "Is it true that BlackRock pulled out of US markets?" No.
I know they
Not
backed
at all.
off
I
on
haven't
some
heard
of their
that.
things, but not. I had no way that I know they pulled out of any markets. No, they're still. Aren't they still the top investor in Disney?
No, Vanguard took over.
They're not.
Oh, Vanguard took over. Okay,
Yeah,
I was gonna say I know there was some
Ah.
shifting and moving, but no,
Yeah.
they're still
Much there was-
involved.
So there
But
was
aren't they interchangeable at this point, Vanguard and BlackRock?
there was an article that came out like 6 days ago that said BlackRock exits U.S. markets to avoid corporate debt bubble, and then one of the guys who predicted the housing crash back in 2008 told everybody months beforehand, pull everything out. Well, he just made a tweet yesterday and said sell everything, and he just put over like several $1 billion in a short against
Isn't
US
that
stocks or
illegal?
something.
Or wait, does he have any? No, never mind. I don't know shit about trading.
Yeah.
Well, he's just a person on the internet, isn't he? For all intents and purposes, like he can say he can predict.
Not a
whatever he wants.
financial advisor. Yeah.
None of
Right.
them.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been predicting a crash and stuff for
Yeah.
quite some time now.
Yeah. Norwegian Kryptonian for 59 Norwegian kroner says, "Do the general audiences know or care about Clone Wars Rebels characters?" Nick, you
No.
are primed to answer this one.
No. You know, the average person out there that just likes Star Wars, okay, has seen the movies, you know, but not really a fan, you know, like a hardcore fan, isn't watching, you know, 5-6 seasons of Clone Wars, 5 or 4 seasons of Rebels. They're not. And people going into Ahsoka who have not seen Rebels especially will be very confused on what's going on in the Ahsoka show. They've already been coming out with episode lists to watch beforehand. But if you listen to Dave Filoni, the great Dave Filoni, he will tell you don't have to watch anything else to enjoy this show, which I think he's full of shit, because then you have Rosario Dawson just like a week ago coming out and saying, yes, you need to go watch those shows to know what's going on here. So
it's a joke.
Yeah, I think this show will be a mixed bag for fans. I think people that are diehard Ahsoka fans will either love it or hate it, and then you'll have other people that just aren't even going to tune in.
Yeah. Well, you're not seeing the bigger picture here, Nick. KK Anon tells me that this is going to reset the entire sequel trilogy.
Yeah, world
it will
between
no
that's what they've
longer
been
be canon.
Saying for ages, isn't it?
And
Fucking
then
hell.
Oh,
God.
You know, the
I'm
thing
starting
is,
to feel bad for making fun of some of these people. I'm sorry.
yeah, the thing is, you know, that they have the ability to do that. They're just not doing it. So I can see why people are so stuck on that aspect of them, you know, retconning the sequels. But you look at everything they have done, all the announcements of the Rey movie, the Acolyte, all that. They're not doing it. They are not getting rid of the sequel trilogy. They're not retconning jack squat.
They're making a new Rey movie. Of course,
yeah.
I knew that was the case when Iger came back because that's his friggin' legacy. Of course not. I mean, the only chance we had was, you know, only if they got Filoni out of there and somebody else came in and took over, which we all knew that was never going to happen. Never going to happen.
No.
The Civil War did happen. I know a lot of people have given people shit over that. There was a Civil War. There was 2 or 3 different factions of folks inside Lucasfilm and Disney as a whole, depending on their political stance. But the one side was deathly afraid to say anything because they knew what would happen to them. They were going to get Gina Carano if they said shit.
Yep.
And the moment Gina Carano got fired, that was the moment everybody on that side lost, right?
Yeah,
the moment nobody stood up for her, the moment nobody came in and said, this is not right. And basically it kind of falls on Favreau's shoulders. He was the only one who probably had the power to stop that from happening. And he didn't. We don't know if he didn't try behind the scenes. I'm not going to say he didn't, but he clearly saw the fight going away from him or losing the battle, and he just said fuck it. And that's kind of what we've gotten out of the season 3 and post everything has been just fuck it Star Wars. He even said it himself. He had to take everything that was originally in his plan and cram it into this story. And it's all Dave Filoni now anyway. We all knew this was going to happen. Filoni is the worst thing that ever happened to Star Wars. I said it way back when. I've never liked the little shithead since day one. I've never trusted him as far as I could throw him. And I feel bad for those who did trust him. Because, sure, there was probably some decent shit in Clone Wars. I get it. But there was also people like George Lucas involved at that point too. And other people who actually knew how to tell good stories. Not George specifically, but other people that did. And yeah, I mean, even Favreau came in from time to time and worked on a few things back then. And other people did. Like Clone Wars had a lot of pedigree behind it. This is something different. But anyway.
We got another super chat here. I think you're probably primed to answer this one, I reckon, Tom. Any thoughts on the upcoming TMNT Ronin?
Very little. They gave us very little in the teaser, so there's not much I can say.
Are you excited?
I like the concept. I didn't like how it ended. The story itself, I mean. As far as a game, I'm curious as to what it's going to be. I mean, if it's just a straight video game of the story, okay. Sure.
Did you like Shredder's Revenge, Tom?
Yeah, I liked it for classic kind of.
Are you getting the DLC?
I don't know if I will or not. I don't get to. That's just it. I don't get time to play games for shit. Like that's my problem. I've got 2 or 3 new games that are still in plastic that, they're not even new anymore. That's the thing. Yeah,
were formerly new games.
They were new at one time.
Oh dear. Right. Well, ladies and gents, we've just rounded out the super chat. So just got to say a few bits and pieces real quick. Thank you so much. We had over 800 viewers today. Absolutely insane levels of viewership. We've got over 500 thumbs up. So you're all tuning in, coming back to watch your favorite podcast. And I just can't thank you enough. I really do appreciate it. It goes a long way. Everyone on the panel really appreciates it. And I think I speak for everyone when, I say we're all pretty astounded by the sort of response from you guys. So thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you so much for continuing to come back and watch the Hcast, which is on Tuesday and Thursdays. Tuesdays is 9 p.m. UK time or British Standard Time, whatever it's called. And then Thursdays is 7 p.m. UK time, so slightly earlier. Everyone's channels, which everyone here, their channels are linked down below. Please do hit subscribe on their respective channels. They would appreciate it if you've liked their input. It's a snapshot of what you'll see on their own channels. More of that, basically. But we do have to round it out here.
Oh, crap. It's later than I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. My back is fucking killing me. Whenever I say that, we plummet viewers. So,
well, did you want me to do the Rust update real quick, or we never did touch on that?
We can. We.
It's real quick because all this is basically is.
There you go. Rust update.
I guess since the only reason Alex is facing any possible problems here is because he lied. If he had just told the truth, I don't think he'd be. But it doesn't sound like anything's going to come of it anyway. But what
be charged?
Could be charged because he said he didn't pull the trigger. The investigation finds that's not true. They did say that he could be charged if that's the FBI, but nothing has come of it since. So all this story is pointing out that yes, he lied, but they still haven't filed any new charges. Now, on the other hand, that's all it really says. It's really short and to the point. But I guess
this is almost like a non. This is almost like a non-story preempting something that will happen, then, isn't it?
Maybe it feels weird. Yeah.
Oh, no. So they commissioned a new forensic examination. That's why.
Oh, okay.
They've been waiting on the results. So they had one of the FBI as well as a new forensic examination deciding whether to refile the charges. The report by Lucian and Michael Haig was submitted to them earlier this month and then released Tuesday in a public court filing. The experts reconstructed the gun, which had been broken during earlier testing by the FBI. How did you break it? And concluded that it could only have been fired. Why did they break it? By a pull of the trigger. This fatal incident was the consequence of the hammer being manually retracted to its full rearward and cocked position, followed at some point by the pull or rearward depression of the trigger. Although Alec Baldwin repeatedly denies pulling the trigger, given the tests, findings, and observations reported here, as well as the FBI's own, the trigger had to be pulled or depressed sufficiently to release the fully cocked or retracted hammer of the evidence revolver. One, why did the FBI break the gun?
That's the weird thing too. I don't know. Even to take it apart to examine it, I don't see why you'd have to break it.
Again, my thoughts on that would be, I wonder if there's a friend of Alex Baldwin in law enforcement.
I was thinking that, but I wasn't. Or maybe,
but their findings were conclusive anyway. Was that it wouldn't have been fired without the gun, without the trigger being pulled.
So I guess what we're waiting on here is the re-examination. Then I guess is what.
Their re-examination has the same findings.
Okay, so they're just because the bottom of it says that they haven't filed any charges yet, and nobody has said that they're
because it was only Tuesday this morning. It was today.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. If it is determined that the gun did not malfunction,
there's
Mr. Baldwin will proceed. They wrote in a filing in June. So this was what the prosecutors had previously stated. So now they've had that.
However,
so
Baldwin
has not been charged again.
Yeah,
and it remains unclear if he will be. I
think they added more to this story since I sent it to you at first.
I don't know if they will do that,
I don't think
Apparently,
so either.
The report also found that there were 4 kinds of dummy rounds on set. Some rattled when they were shaken, indicating that they were not capable of being fired. Others had a hole in the side, and others lacked a primer. The report found that the live rounds could be distinguished from those types of dummies either by rattling them or noticing the lack of a hole. So it's just negligence, basically.
And that would fall on Gutierrez. And that's what I wonder if they're going to wait and see how that trial pans out.
Yeah, see if they can get someone else. What? I mean, I just...
It is funky, though. I was with Culture on the whole broken thing. I'm like,
Yeah, the broken thing is weird. Like, they had to reconstruct the gun because the FBI broke it? What? I mean, Nick, you like your guns? What?
Yeah, there's no way that this gun just fired on its own. That revolver that he was using on this, it doesn't happen. I mean, you could literally cock the hammer back on that thing. If you threw it on the ground, it might fire that way. But if it's in his hand or it's holstered or he's pointing it or something, the hammer just doesn't just go forward on its own. It just doesn't happen. Anybody that knows old revolver guns like that know that's not the case. And if that was the case, then it would be broken every single time. Every single time you pulled it back, it would go forward. So I mean, I don't know why you need the Gestapo, FBI, who sucks anyways, to tell you these things. But
let's be real. He's not going to probably get charged. If he gets charged with anything, it'd probably be obstructing justice. I bet you $5 that's what they're talking about when they said, "Oh, there will be charged," because that's all he's doing is he lied to them. Which at the end of the day, because that's what I said, like he has got to have the world's worst publicists. Because if he had just kept his damn mouth shut, not said a word, not done any interviews, nothing, he'd have been fine.
Done nothing. Yeah,
I can believe all that.
Because the history of the way these things go, and I know it's really difficult for gun people to understand this, especially, is that these are not treated the same as any other gun crime or gun accident or gun incident. There is a licensed armorist on the set for that very reason. Most cases, everything is going to fall on their shoulders, and not once in the history of any of these accidents ever happening can I think of offhand of anybody ever being charged with anything. The worst case being the Crow one.
But that was the last time.
One of the last times, but yeah.
Well, it got killed. It's the last time someone died.
Or was getting killed, yes.
I don't even think anything happened to anybody on the Twilight Zone movie incident with the helicopter.
Oh, no. 3 people died.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean going to jail?
Right,
there was some minor charges brought upon, I believe, one of the stunt coordinator people. if I'm not mistaken, but it was like, I don't know if anybody actually did any jail time for it. I'd have to look on that. It drug out for so long. Like, I believe it was like
years.
87 or 89 by the time that was all said and done
Yeah,
and
I
figured
think
out.
Well,
I think
this
somebody.
has been going for 2 years now.
Yeah,
2 years
yeah.
plus.
It takes way too long. I mean, these people really dragged their feet on this. They really did.
Yeah,
Bizarre.
and then Shadow Chaser, I think, is right. All the stuff from Twilight Zone ended up being civil in the end anyway. I don't think there was any criminal negligence found.
Well, that's what this has happened. The majority of this stuff has become civil charges against Baldwin as well, like being.
And I didn't mean to drag out your show, but I just thought that was kind of interesting.
No, it is interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens, just as a point of like, oh yeah, sort of see how it develops.
Well, from what
I
I've
was
been hearing,
following that story all the time. So,
and I don't know if you heard similar things, but like, it did sound like a lot of this fell on Gutierrez's shoulders, as much as a lot of people hate Alec Baldwin and want to blame him.
So it fell on. I mean, there was multiple layers of it because there were
and the assistant director as well. But it sounds like he may have threw the armorist under the bus.
He made a deal. He 100% made a deal. But I mean, there was a whole load of nonsense because people were shooting things on set.
Yes,
and the crew walked out because they were like, "This is dangerous," and guns have gone off, and so they left, and they got like a scab crew to come in, and it was just the whole shoot was a joke.
Yeah, the whole thing, honestly, in my opinion,
walking disaster.
This is what's sad is, like, I know I have had to say a lot of things that it doesn't jive with how I feel. Like, if people want to know how I feel, I think a lot of people should be held culpable for this. This was clear negligence. The only time that the only time I could think of anybody ever going to prison for any kind of negligence like this in a movie in recent years was the Robert Altman movie that never got off the ground because an assistant director, I think it was, and somebody else got charged because they were shooting without any permits. And that's the only reason they had gotten in any trouble. If they had the permits, I guarantee you nobody would have gotten in trouble for what had happened. And what had happened, for those who don't know, is they were shooting on a live train track, and they had a bed over top of the train track for a dream sequence. And I believe a prop person or a set dresser had come in to grab the bed just before the train caught her up in the train, and she got killed. And so I believe the assistant director and somebody else had gotten charged in this, but it only came down on them because they didn't have the proper permits to shoot. Right? That's what I'm saying. Like, if they had the permits, it would have been just chalked up as another accident, incident, negligence on the part of the person, probably kind of situation to where, it didn't fall back on everybody else. That's the crappy part is these are not like normal work situations. Like, they're not like OSHA rules in a sense, like that we have at normal workplaces and stuff. Yeah. Like, Gutierrez is the one who a lot of the responsibility is going to fall on her shoulders. And much like you had heard that, I'd heard some personal things about her that really make me curious as to how she's even working in this industry.
Well,
because
her dad, that's why.
That's the other thing is, like, the shit that she has supposedly said about her dad and not learned from her dad is another thing. And I think you've heard similar things that I have. And that's the thing is, like, I hate saying it. I think a lot of it falls on her shoulders. And like you said, they were out doing things they weren't supposed to be doing. With these guns. And that's going to be a big part of this.
I think she liked the sort of the romanticized the fame aspect and was trying to sort of.
She very much did. She liked the idea of being part of the industry more than actually doing her job.
Yes.
Nepotism. And now somebody died because of it.
Nepotism. Yeah. Well, there you have it, ladies and gents. End on a nice cheery note. But no, that was a good topic just to end on. Absolutely. So yeah, quick 5 seconds. Tom, plug. What do you got coming up?
I didn't realize how late it was. I got a show in half hour and I don't even have it set up yet. I was like, oh crap, it's later than I thought.
And where is the show? What's
Midnight's Edge After Dark will be a show tonight. And then
Midnight's Edge After Dark.
Then you can find me on Toxic Tuesday as well later tonight.
Toxic Tuesdays as well. Culture Casino, what you got coming up, buddy?
I dropped a video today. It's sitting about 1,800 views. Check that out. It is all about stuff we talked about today. Tomorrow, I'm going to drop a video that's going to blow your minds as far as numbers go. And we have the 6-minute daily every weekday. Go, Nick.
There you go. Nick, what's going on, bud?
Chill stream Thursday night. I will not be here Thursday, though, because I actually got a bucket list event happening for me tomorrow. I got front row tickets to see Incubus live in concert. A band that I've never seen live before. That's on my bucket list of bands to go see live. And I won't get back to the house till probably close to 3 o'clock by the time you guys are wrapping up.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough, dude. Well, you will be missed. You will be missed, but enjoy that. That's that's epic. What have I got going on? Well, I was going to go see Strays tonight, but unfortunately wasn't able to. So I'm going to try and catch that this week because it is out this week. I think it's out on Friday, if I remember rightly. I'm super busy actually doing my master's degree stuff, which is I've just got piles of stuff all lying around everywhere. If you didn't know, guys, I'm trying to gain entry to do a master's degree. This is all the entry stuff, not actually even the degree itself. Yay! Loads and loads of stuff, all over the place. So we're churning the way through that, but we'll get there. And then trying to get my Datsun started because that's been a pain in the ass. Obviously, I like Datsuns. I've got Datsun 510, second channel or third channel. Car nonsense. I've got a car channel. If you didn't know, check it out. Maybe linked in the description box, I think. But yeah, not all normal stuff. Bit more reviews coming up soon. Hopefully, all the usual Hollywood analysis and film analysis. But there you go. I've rattled on for too long now. So from me and everyone else, thank you so much. We will catch you on Thursday. Take care. Bye bye now. Peace out.
Bye, guys.